The NASCAR Nationwide Series at Nashville Superspeedway is presented by Tractor Supply Company. The stuff you need out here. And in part by Principal Financial Group. We'll give you an edge. Well, and as you can see, the fans are on their feet because cars are just about ready to make their way out for the pace laps, and you'll be able to see the starting lineup across the top of your screen, presented by Tractor Supply Company there, and there he is, 22-year-old Kyle Busch. We keep forgetting about the fact he is 22 years old. We're talking about all these other young guns. He's just done so much in so quick amount of time. Yeah, he's so good. We kind of overlook him as being one of the young guys, but he is very, very young. All right, there is Carl Edwards. He is going to be our in-race reporter, and we told you earlier we wanted you to log on to ESPN.com. Well, our first question comes from Alan in Jonesboro, Georgia. Take it away, Rusty.
Hey, Carl, Rusty Wallace, ESPN, you got us?
Clear, Rusty.
Carl, our first mailbag question is, what's the difference between concrete and asphalt?
Concrete races have usually ended up better for us. That's the only difference for us right now. We just, to drive them, they're almost the same. I'd have to say concrete's probably just a little less forgiving. But, we've been very fortunate to have good cars, but just less forgiving on the concrete.
Okay, Carl, another question. As you said last night after your final practice that your car was really handling good, but, man, it was just slow. Have you worked on that problem and figured out what it was?
Hopefully we got that fixed. I mean, qualifying was kind of a pleasant surprise. We were faster than I thought we'd be. And, hopefully this thing's a little bit better. We changed some stuff, and we went back and looked at the times, and I don't think we were as bad as we thought we were. So hopefully we get rolling here, and we're pretty good.
All right, Carl, thanks a lot. Have a great day. Let's try to talk to the crew chief.
And, of course, that would be Pierre Cattell. Take it away, Andy.
Hey, PK, it's Andy up here. You got us?
Yes, I do, Andy. How are you?
Oh, pretty good. You guys have this place figured out last few races. What have you, this engine package, have you had to change your car much to make it work here?
We thought we were going to. We had changed some springs and stuff before we got here, and then we actually ended up going back to where we were. The only thing we have worked on is probably some front shocks to give a little more compliance to the racetrack. But other than that, setup's not that much different.
I know you're hoping for the same result, but what about, one question I've got, PK, is the tires. Are they going to be able to go a full gas stop here right off the bat?
I think we'll make it this first one. We've had a lot of practice yesterday qualifying, and now we've got, we'll have this full race run. I think we'll be all right on tires today.
Okay, PK, you and Carl have a good race.
Thanks, Andy. Take care.
And obviously, that Carl has one of our 8 onboard cameras, and we'll be able to give you a view from all the others. Sterling Marlin has taken over the #1 ride. Mike Wallace, Kyle Busch, Brad Coleman, Jason Leffler, Carl Edwards, as we mentioned, Stephen Wallace, and Brad Keselowski all have an onboard ride for you today here at Nashville Superspeedway. The madness of basketball season here in the month of March, we sort of thought we'd play off of that theme. Let's bring in our 4 pit reporters, and Jamie Little is up first.
Well, Marty, it certainly is all about March Madness, but today in Nashville, no basketball is required, just a race car. A lot of drivers to watch for, and with that, I came up with a few potential Cinderella stories. Kelly Byers, he's in the 47. He qualified 5th today, the best effort this season. Brian Clausen, he's in the 40 today. He kicked off the season at Daytona with a 6th place finish, but some bad luck has plagued him, and he hopes to turn that around today. But my pick for the ultimate Cinderella story, Cale Gale. He's in that 33 car. Kevin Harvick, his boss man, has been in it all season, and they are now leading the owner points, and he has the most experience at this track, so I'm going to place him as the 16th seed today. So for more on other seeds, let's go to Vince Welch.
Well, Jamie, if you follow the tournament at all, the 12 seed's always good for an upset or two, and that's why I'm looking at 3 drivers that, although they may be considered underdogs, I think they can rise up and make some noise today. Brad Keselowski in the 88 car, driving for Dale Jr. Back-to-back top 10 finishes, including a 4th last week at Bristol. Stephen Light in the 21 for Richard Childress. He won a race last year in this series, and he is very fast in practice and also a strong qualifying run. And Bobby Hamilton Jr. in the 25 car. This is his home track, and he always has this race circled on the calendar. And these guys might be flying under the radar a bit, but they're definitely capable of putting their name on the trophy. Shannon?
Well, Vince, you talk about guys flying under the radar. In every tournament, you have the mid-major teams. Those are guys just looking to break through. get that win and move on to the next level. In that seat in today's race will be Jason Leffler and Mike Bliss. They're both currently in the top 10 in the point standings and completely capable of winning today's race. In fact, Jason Leffler broke through the Nashville bubble back in 2004, winning his first nationwide race here. Both of those drivers have a win on their mind, and when they're in the race, you can never count them out of the dance. Over to Mike Massaro.
Well, Shannon, to cut down the nets, or in this case, capture the checkers, Cinderella has to go through some pretty tough top seeds. Carl Edwards, he's won 3 consecutive races here in Nashville. How about Clint Boyer? In 7 races here, he's never finished outside the top 5. And what's going to slow down Kyle Busch? He set a torrid pace in qualifying. He's on the pole driving a car that has dominated 2008, a car that has led more than half the laps in this season's campaign. Now, each of these drivers have a very effective fast break, and to beat them will be anything but a slam dunk. Marty?
All right, guys, great job down there. And Brad Daugherty's in hog heaven because that's all that basketball talk. And his Carolina Tar Heels killed him yesterday. All right, they're coming out of turn 4. 43 of the best of the NASCAR Nationwide Series as we get ready for the start of the 6th race on the 2008 campaign. Here we are from Nashville Super Speedway. And as they come to the flag, we are getting ready to go.
Ready. Green flag, green flag, green flag. Inside.
Everybody clean through turn 1 and 2, but boy, old Kyle Busch making a statement early. That 20 car has led 51% of the laps this year so far, over half, and it's going to lead the first one here today.
Man, he hit that button, and that thing took off, didn't it, Rusty?
Oh, track position's everything in the world. To get out and clear those guys, and so he can get that clean air, it's just everything in the world. So that's very important right now to get out there and get that position.
There you see Kelly Byers as he has moved up. Stephen Wallace there in 3rd in the 66 car, and there's Clint Boyer as he's made a couple of passes. And he's now getting around the 66 of Wallace.
Yeah, it looks like Steve's car earlier in the going is real loose right now. He's trying to get that thing back to the bottom of the racetrack. I know they've made some air pressure changes, Andy, and it's probably going to take a while to get their car going.
It shouldn't take but about 2 or 3 laps for these tires to come up to the right temperature and right pressure, and that's what it looks like. Steven's just kind of waiting on that. If his car's free, and it might be just because of that low air pressure.
There you see the 88, Brad Keselowski on the outside in the Navy car. 3 wide down the backstretch, and there's Carl Edwards on the inside of him.
Wow, we got 3 wide getting in the corner here with that 22 car, Mike Bliss.
You got to remember one thing right now, guys. There's no second groove out here. They've been practicing. Whoa, that was close.
I think it was more than close. He may have touched the wall there, Mike Bliss did, coming off turn 4.
No second groove, like I was saying. They did all the practicing on the bottom of the racetrack, and so it's going to take a while to get that groove in up there so they can actually race on it.
And Mike Bliss started from the outside front row there. He slipped back quite a ways.
Yeah, he has slid back, but meanwhile, some other cars have been moving forward. Take a look as you've got the 16 of Colin Brown. That's one of our young drivers that we're keeping an eye on. He's on the high side there, outside the 25 of Bobby Hamilton Jr.
Forward, the wall on the right side, up off 4.
I think that was Mike Bliss that we just heard right there, said he did catch the wall a little bit coming off of turn 4. I think it's just like you said, Rusty, some of these guys just, you know, their tire pressures are down. They just weren't quite ready. He's working the outside, and it's real slick out there. He caught that wall pretty good.
Yeah, one of the concerns he's got to have right now, if he bent that right front fender in, Andy, he's going to lose a lot of downforce. That front end's going to slide around on him a lot. Car won't handle as good, but looks like he's got a pretty good run right now, and I don't see any smoke or anything.
Well, the adjustment he made must have been in the right direction when he hit that wall.
Yeah, because he just went around Keselowski like there was no problem whatsoever. Banging again.
It doesn't look like any smoke or anything there, no loose sheet metal. I think he'll be okay.
You know, we talked yesterday in our practice show about sometimes I've hit the wall and radioed back in and said, hey, this car's actually handling better now, and that could be the case for Mike Bliss right now.
Well, right behind him is Cale Gale in the 33. They're running in 8th and 9th positions, respectively. Don't worry, we'll tell you up front, nothing's changed. Kyle Busch has pulled out to a nice lead of 1.1 seconds. There he is as he's streaking down the backstretch. Second place is Kelly Byers. Clint Boyer is 3rd. Stephen Light has moved up into the 4th spot. And Stephen Wallace rounds out to top 5.
What do we get about 10 laps into this run, we'll kind of see how they balance out. But Clint Boyer's car looks like it's getting faster as he runs. And, well, it doesn't look like Kyle Busch is slowing down any. But
well, this is all about air pressure-related stuff, Andy. And, you know, these guys can go out there and practice all they want in practice yesterday, but there's nothing like the real practice like's going on today. They'll get all the aeroflow, they'll get all the different tire wear, and that's what lets you know what you really got.
Battle for 17th, and that's Sterling Marlin going underneath Jason Leffler, and Leffler's about to get passed again by the 9 of Chase Miller.
See, there's really not quite 2 grooves in the racetrack yet. They're trying to get some rubber down, and if you're on the outside getting in the corner, you almost have to give it to them at this point.
Oh, you do. I mean, if you're an outside, you're going to get trapped out there. This is early in the race, so just be careful. You know, one thing I'm thinking about, Andy, we were watching Leffler a little while ago. He lost a lot of practice yesterday because he got in that crash, and I wonder how that's going to affect him with losing all that practice.
Yeah, it could definitely make a difference, but the track is going to change so much. We got a caution.
We've got caution on the racetrack, and right up down the front stretch there, you can see the blue smoke pouring out of the back of the car as trying to get the number on there. There it is, Brett Rowe in the 05.
Couldn't see for all the smoke.
I know. Well, if this was dead of summer, we wouldn't have to worry about mosquitoes, that's for sure.
I think he popped the right front. I don't know. He got into something. I don't know. But
well, got a little rub there, but let's take a look. Right there, yeah. That
looks like what he's got here is maybe some oil lines. There's some smoke that's coming out from under the hood. Looks like it got on the tires and sent him up in the wall because we could see the tire was not flat.
Yeah, it's got to be that. Look at all that blue smoke. I mean, it's definitely not a tire. It's up real good.
So as he nurses his way around, we're under our first caution flag here on lap 10 of 225. Kyle Busch is out in front with Kelly Byers right behind him. Kyle in control.
Nashville's always been a cool place to go. It's a little smaller than a 1.5 mile racetrack.
When you race on a concrete racetrack, the line between a ton of grip and sliding the car, that area gets real narrow. It's fast, but it's kind of short track, you know. The thin straightaway is really fast, but the corners are kind of tight. Like, it's a finesse track, it's a driver's track, it's fun.
That's what they're fighting for, that guitar, the Gibson Les Paul design. Welcome back to the Pepsi 300. We're under our first caution of the day after Brett Rowe had the oil line break free, and they were talking about it on the radio during the break. As you can see, Kyle Busch is out in front of this field, has led every lap so far. And you were talking about during the break also. As we take a look at Kyle's troubles, watch him on this restart.
Yeah, that's what I watched the start of the race, and that thing just, when he hit that button, I mean, it really took off. And that's a sign of just a good motor. I mean, he's got a little more power than these guys do, so I'm going to be watching on this restart.
Yeah, but I kind of thought that early in the race, you're supposed to have a little bit of patience. Take it nice and easy. It looks like this guy doesn't have that in his vocabulary at all.
Well, guys, we've been told by NASCAR that they are going to have a little more to clean up because there's a lot of oil. So we're going to step aside and get this one out of the way. Don't go too far, though, because we'll be back to green flag racing here at the Nashville Super Speedway.
Gentlemen, start your engines!
Back here at the Nashville Super Speedway, we're under our first caution. A lot of oil to be cleaned up thanks to Brett Rowe, who ended up popping an oil line. Let's take you back and show you what happened and listen in on the radio. He described it a little bit later.
Hey, the motor blowed? The motor did not blow, but it blew a line off or something, because the tire does not feel down now, but when we was in the middle of the corner, it just shot straight for the wall.
And that's all the oil they're trying to clean up because he stayed on the track until just about there. For more on all this, let's go to Tim Brewer in the Chevy Cutaway car.
Thanks, Marty. What we got, folks, we got all these pressure lines on the engine. We've got the oil filter sitting out here. All these are pressure lines. So I'm saying that's where the thing actually came from, because you got all these lines beneath the motor. They're actually suction line. They're basically pulling through, but I'd say it's a pressure line. And as far as the cleanup on the racetrack, this back here, this is the oil tank. This thing holds 4.5 gallons of oil, and that's the reason it takes NASCAR quite a few minutes to pick up all that oil on the racetrack with a speed drive. Marty?
All right, thanks, Tim. Good stuff. While we've got this extended caution, let's check in with our in-race reporter, see what the early track conditions are. Rusty.
Hey, Carl, Rusty, ESPN, you got us? Carl Edwards, Rusty Wallace with ESPN, you got us?
Out clear, Rusty.
Hey, Carl, what's the track doing early in the race right now? Saw a lot of cars out there sliding around early. Is it pretty good shape?
The track's pretty good. You know, I was following your son there, and it looked like he was pretty loose. We got ours in a pretty good shape here. I was telling PK it's balanced, but we got that oil up there. It looked like he blew a line off or something, and you know, you just can't see the oil on the track very well here.
All right, man. Have a great race. We'll check back with you later on.
Well, thanks. It's kind of weird with this camera in my face. It makes me think you guys are watching me. It makes me nervous.
Well, you brushed your teeth, didn't you?
You got me, man.
And yes, we are watching you.
Just trying to be funny, guys. I mean,
should tell you that while all this is going on, Mike Bliss has made 2 pit stops. Remember, he slid against the wall earlier in the race. And as he continues to work on that, they're still on the lead lap, but they're going to be well back in the field. Remember, Bliss started very strong here on the outside of the front row. There is the team working on the Supercuts Dodge. Let's talk a little bit about the lucky dog, because Curtis Davis was 1 lap down, so he picks up the Aaron's free pass as he gets back onto the lead lap. We're going to step out another moment or two and let the NASCAR officials finish the cleanup. Stay with us. We'll go back to Green Flag Racing at Nashville.
The NASCAR Nationwide Series at Nashville. Our ESPN coverage presented by Tractor Supply Company. Clean it up from a lengthy caution, the first one of the race after Brett Rowe dropped oil on the speedway. We were coming to the restart. That has just been waved off by NASCAR officials, so it's going to be another lap or so before we get him back underway. Kyle Busch started on pole. He's led all of the laps so far. He has a very strong Joe Gibbs Racing 20 car, Brad. Kind of looks like that car has every week so far.
I'm going to tell you, he looks like he is shot out of a cannon when he started that race, and he just pulled away, had a couple-second lead on everyone. He looks strong once again. Let's see if he can take it to the end of the day, though. You know, somebody we really haven't talked about at all so far this race, but who is in the field is Denny Hamlin, driving that Braun Racing 32 car. He could be a guy who could sneak up there and get a top finish, contend for the win. Absolutely. A lot of experience there in that race car. Denny's a super race car driver, and if he can work his way up towards that top 10 throughout the race, he could be a contender at the end of the day. We'll see how it goes there. Just an unrelated note, but just something we want to pass along. I want to send our condolences to our broadcasting friend, Phil Parsons, and the Parsons family. Phil's mother, Hazel, passed away on Friday, and today would have been her 85th birthday, so we're thinking about them. So we're going to try and get this race back under the green flag. A couple of young guys up there in the mix at the front of the pack. Kelly Byers running second, Stephen Light running fourth, surrounded by Kyle Busch in first, Clint Boyer in third, Carl Edwards in fifth, and then there is David Stremme and Stephen Wallace. The Wallace tandem, Rusty, running 6th and 7th. Well, they need to get run a little bit better. Looks like some of them are loose, some of them are tight, but for the most part, this is a pretty good start to this event. These guys all look pretty good out there.
Well, they just waved off the start again, so we're going to be at least going another lap. Gives me a chance. Hey, Brad, who is this LeBron James fellow who ends up breaking your record at Cleveland last night? I mean, come on. We got to get him. Brad, you there?
Hello? I'm here.
He was trying to be.
I'm trying to be. Who does he drive for?
No, I mean, well, who is he breaking your record, scoring more points than you in Cleveland Cavaliers history?
He's taking a lot more shots than I did, Marty. So I'll tell you what, I've got the old short shorts back out. I've been stretching and training. I'm going back into action next week, I do believe, if I can get over this muscle pull from stretching.
All right. And Brad said he's going to take his compensation from the team
in ice.
In ice.
Yeah. All right, take a look now at Willie Allen. He lives right here in Nashville, Tennessee. He was the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series Rookie of the Year last year, and of course he is in this ride. And boy, this team has done yeoman work. Take you back to yesterday. This is what happened in practice, guys, and they had to go to the shop and work all night.
Yeah, this is old school racing. You see, he got up in the wall pretty hard. They didn't have a backup car to go to, so they take this car back to their shop here in town and fix it, come back this morning, qualify for the race. Here he is. He made up a lot of spots on the start, but they came in and made an early pit stop. I'm sure just to maybe get that one little adjustment they need, but that's pretty good. Car looks good.
He picked up 7 spots before the caution came out, and this part of the Sadler-Hamilton team that Bobby Hamilton has just bought into. And let's get more from Shannon.
Well, Marty, I spoke with Bobby Hamilton Jr. today. Of course, his car yesterday, as you guys just saw, involved in a wreck during practice. Those guys worked on the car all night, as you heard Andy. And Bobby Hamilton, being the good partial owner that he is, he stopped by the shop, brought those guys dinner, really feeling the impact of being a car owner, but it was the best situation for this team because they're so close to the speedway that they were able to fix that car. If that was to happen at any other track, they very well may have not been in this race today.
All right, thanks, Shannon. And we're getting word again that they are going to have to wait one more lap as one of the vehicles was still out on the track. So one more time, hopefully. It gives us a chance to talk about what's going to happen a week from tonight. 8 Eastern on ESPN2 to be the opener for the IndyCar Series. Of course, if you follow motorsports, you know about the unification. 26 cars on the entry list. The XM Indy 300 at Miami. And Dan Weldon will be going for his 4th in a row at that track, just as Carl Edwards is going for 4 in a row here. Let's check in once again in the pit studio with Alan Bestwick.
Yeah, Marty, we talk about Bobby Hamilton Jr. and just take a couple of minutes and reflect back on a very special day that happened in his life that perhaps he didn't realize was so special until later. August 14th, 2004.
Racing is housed right here in Nashville, Tennessee.
Nashville racing hero Bobby Hamilton won a NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series race here. Bobby Jr. dominated the event, but fell back late. His father, Bobby Sr., won. Now you see Jr. coming into victory lane. But Bobby Hamilton Jr. told me that he was so upset about dominating that race and losing that he only stayed for a minute. Said, "Congratulations, Dad," and left because he was so mad. And he said, "Now that my dad is gone, one of the things I learned from him, really appreciating every moment, appreciating just being here. He appreciates being in this race today and wishes he maybe appreciated that moment just a little more."
Great story, Alan, as we're back to Green Flag Racing, and watch Kyle Busch again.
Pulls these guys 3 car lengths on the start. You know, a restart is really just a drag race to turn 1, and it's all about power. No aerodynamics, no handling, and he just pulled these guys 3 car lengths or 4 car lengths getting in turn 1.
Well, that was just all about getting through the gearbox and horsepower, like you said. I mean, and when he comes down the back straightaway and just starts putting a car length on him, man, that is a great way to see how strong that engine is.
Kyle has not had a lot of success here at this track. His best finish was his first time ever here, 6th. The 3 other times, 17th was the best finish. Take a look right there. You got the 66 of Stephen Wallace. There's David Rudiman. Rudiman was moving up through the field as well before we had that first caution. And he's moving again.
Yeah, he's working that outside groove, too. We were kind of talking about that earlier, that it hadn't quite come in, but it looked pretty good right there. He actually gets clear of Stephen Wallace on the outside.
Yeah, in fact, right now, Rudiman's moved up 12 positions, more than anybody in the whole field right now. And it looks like his car's handling real good. He told us earlier it wasn't, but it looks good now.
He is running in 7th. Stephen Wallace is in 8th. And there's Brad Keselowski right behind him with a whole flock of cars following. On board, Stephen.
A lot of these young guys are really gung-ho, Rusty, you know, and that's what you kind of worry about that because they don't have a lot of experience and they see this as being a huge opportunity, and it will be tempting to try to overdrive the car.
And you hit the nail on the head there, Andy. It's all about opportunity today. For a fellow who hasn't won, who likes this racetrack like many of these drivers out here, they just don't want to let this slip away. They want to capture this day and try to win and get it done.
Here we go. Going to go 3 wide. There's Scott Wimmer in the 29 going underneath Cale Gale. Now he's got Keselowski in his sights. There's Bobby Hamilton Jr. in the 25.
We're talking about the young kids being gung-ho. Here goes Scott Wimmer. He's on the march.
When these guys have got a good car, they want to use it and go for it. The thing about going 3 wide, it's okay as long as you get 2 wide by the time you get to the corner.
Well, Wimmer freely admits, guys, you know, Jeff Burton won in that car last year, and he didn't. He wants to change that this year.
Looks like he's got a pretty good horse today.
You know, that's a little bit of a pressure on a driver, too, knowing that car's always winning. And Scott probably feels like he's supposed to also.
Won the Manufacturers Championship last year in the Nationwide Series. Let's check in right now with Shannon.
Well, I spoke with Scott Wimmer's crew chief, Pat Smith, and he said one of the benefits of this week is the fact that Scott Wimmer's been in that car for 2 consecutive weeks. Of course, he was in that car last week at Bristol. Pat Smith said he really feels like Scott Wimmer should have gotten a top 5 last week. They opted to come down and pit right before that red flag came out for rain. Of course, the race never got restarted, so they are certainly looking for a good finish today, and that team really wants to get Scott Wimmer his win here in this season in the Nationwide Series.
Well, Shannon, a great way to follow this up would be to talk to Scott Wimmer himself about this and about being part-time with the team and what it's like.
I'd love to be in the car every week. You know, running 1 week or 2 weeks and having 3 off is really tough, but to be with the organization I'm with, to be with Richard Childress and have a teammate like Jeff Burton and have a sponsor like Holiday, and it really, you know, it makes you look forward to going to the races each and every week.
And right now, Scott Wimmer running in the 9th position. As his last lap, 30.6 seconds. Our race leader, Kyle Busch, turning at 30.1. And speaking of Kyle, there he is. He's led every lap that we've run so far, and it's like it's on a rail already.
There's another Toyota back in the pack running 7th, David Ruderman, that is running the same lap times right here as Kyle Busch. So if he can make his way to the front, I believe he'll have a little something for Kyle.
Yeah, right now it's early in the race, and it's all about track position. These cars are very dependent on clean air going across the front of the car. And if he can get gone like he is right now by himself, we can actually look at these lap times and compare them one-on-one with the leader, Kyle Busch.
Jamie, you've got more on the 99?
Well, you guys, last year, if you remember back to this race, David Ruderman certainly had the car to beat. He qualified 5th. He was marching toward the front, and then the catch can got stuck on one of his pit stops, had to go all the way to the back and forced his way, moved his way all the way up to 2nd. He told me he's here to get redemption, but he wasn't sure what kind of car he had. He said it certainly wasn't as good as last year, guys, but I think he's just modest. Hey, he's already moved up 12 spots, Marty.
And Jamie, he didn't have that good a car in practice. I mean, he was kind of down on the sheet. We watched him and didn't think that he was really all that fast, but this race has started and he's starting to move to the front.
Well, that makes me wonder, because a lot of guys complaining yesterday about their cars not really handling good or running fast or running okay right now in the early part of this run. And I know when this track changes, that's probably going to change.
Well, let me throw out one other factor. The wind yesterday was from the south at like 30 miles an hour. Today, it's a lot calmer, and it's 180 degrees difference.
Well, that'll change your car a little bit, but it's not going to change it a lot. I mean, it could change the way they're entering these corners because this track is not symmetrical. You've got a tri-oval front stretch and then a straight back stretch, so it could change the car a little bit. I mean, it could have changed it in his favor.
Mike, you've got more?
Yeah, you know, you got to give a lot of credit to this young driver, Kelly Byers, driving with a little bit of a handicap so far this afternoon. Believe it or not, radio communication is interrupted, if you will. They can only speak with the driver when he's on the front straightaway, but still, he's not doing too bad a job holding off one of the powerhouses here in Clint Boyer.
He's doing a fine job as Kelly is in 2nd. Clint Boyer running in 3rd. They're both trying to chase down Kyle Busch, but how many times have we said that so far this year? We're working lap 33 of 225 here at Nashville Super Speedway. So as we step aside, stay with us and we'll find out. Will Kyle Busch continue to dominate, or will Carl Edwards make it 4 in a row? Hello, Bunny.
Bang, 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 bang.
The NASCAR Nationwide Series from Nashville, Tennessee. Coverage on ESPN presented by Tractor Supply Company. Kyle Busch continues to lead. New 2nd place runner behind him.
Yeah, absolutely. Clint Boyer slides around Kelly Byers, and he is marching down Kyle Busch.
Just a moment ago, here's how it happened down the backstretch.
Sucked up on him on the backstretch. Kelly gives him plenty of room. Clint's race car is super fast, darts through the corner where he thought he could get past him down 3 and 4. And he is on the hunt. He's looking for the rear end of that 20 car right now.
Got a couple of seconds worth of racetrack to make up before he will catch up to that 20 car, though, does Clint Boyer. We've run 39 of the 225 laps that it takes to make the distance today. Let's give you a nationwide up to speed. Set up this first set of pit stops. What can we expect? Start in the leader's pit. Here's Vince.
Most teams are fighting a tight condition, but Kyle Busch says the car is just a tick free, although it's getting better in the middle of the corner, and that's certainly good news for the 20. The last time Busch was in this car, that was in Atlanta. They dominated before cutting a tire late. Crew chief Dave Rogers says that's one of the cars you get once in a lifetime. Looks like he's got a pretty good one again today. Mike Massaro?
And Clint Boyer having a pretty good run, saying he's a little bit free on entrance. They've already made an air pressure adjustment for the next stop and also contemplating adding a little bit of tape. He's already begun assessing his competition as well, and during the last caution, he asked his crew chief, how's the 20 running? Dan Daringhoff's response was, he's very raceable. We can beat him today. That's encouraging for the 2 camp. Meanwhile, just behind him, a very good run for Kelly Byers. The goal coming into this season was to get to this particular race with 0 DNFs. Mission accomplished. The goal today, to score their first career top 5 together, and so far they're on track. A pretty good race car, saying just a tick tight. They're going to try to correct that on the next stop. Jamie?
Well, Mike, behind him is Carl Edwards. I talked to him this morning, and he talked about being concerned about the Toyota power. He said, I'll be running behind those guys. I think my car is great. I'm flat out, and those guys just check out. He's talking about Kyle Busch in particular when he runs behind him. So Carl said right now his car is as good as it's going to be. He said it's pretty fast. It's much better than it was in practice. So Carl started 4th, and he's currently 4th now. Right behind him, the man on a mission. We've been talking about him, David Rudiman. Started 19th, has moved all the way up to 5th now. He came on the radio about 2 laps ago and said he wants it to rotate better through the center, and then he went and turned the fastest lap. So he's just being modest today, but this is certainly a car to watch, Vince, in the 99.
Well, and directly behind the 99 of Rudiman is the 21 of Stephen Like for the Richard Childress team. Remember, even though he won a race last year at Kentucky, he wasn't able to secure a full-time ride. He's hopeful a good run today will solidify his position with this team. The car's a little bit tight. The crew chief told him back the corner up a bit. That means let off sooner and see if you can get through the corner better. And directly behind Stephen Like is the 64 of David Strimmy. Of course, running for Rusty Wallace, Inc. and the Atrius Homes Chevrolet. 2 top 10s in his last 3 races. A little free on entry, but they believe free is better than tight at this stage. Shannon Spank?
Well, Vince, Scott Wimmer in that 29 car started this race 14th. He, of course, was part of the owner championship team he shared with Jeff Burton last season. Scott Wimmer says his goals this year are 1, to defend that owner's championship, and 2, to win a race. Said he just couldn't close the deal last year. The car's a little tight, starting to come to him. Vince.
And directly behind is the 88 of Brad Keselowski. Keselowski a bit tight, but they've been freeing up in the longer run, and they feel like they've got a pretty good balance with the race car right now. That's Brad Keselowski, Tony Uri Sr., the crew chief, and of course running for Dale Earnhardt Jr. Shannon Spank?
Well, Vince, the number 66 car, Steve Wallace, there's been a lot of changes to this RWI team this season, but one of the biggest changes that could benefit Steven today is the addition of the car chief, Shane Huffman, who is acting as spotter as well today. Of course, Shane brings mechanical expertise to the table, but he also brings driver expertise. Shane competed in this race last season in the junior motorsports car and finished 6th. So a little bit of expertise on the track for the RWI car. Marty.
All right, thanks, guys. Great job. That's our top 10. Right in 11th spot is Denny Hamlin. But a guy that is on the move, as you see our race leader, Kyle Busch. His lead is 2 seconds over Clint Boyer. But I've been keeping tabs on Mike Bliss. Remember, he had those extended pit stops during our first caution. He fell all the way back to 42nd spot, and there he is. He has now moved himself back up to the 18th position. So that's a strong comeback.
They had contact with the wall. They bit the bullet, came in under that caution and fixed it because it's still early. If you get this thing fixed and get it fixed right, you'll have plenty of time to get back up there. He's got a fast race car. He qualified 2nd, and he's being patient about moving his way up through here. And especially with these young guys like Landon Castle, he's passing right here in this 5 car. Got to give these guys a little extra room because they don't have the experience.
It's just so early in the race right now, Andy, to get real aggressive, and he's doing a good job holding on to it. And I really like what the 22 car did, coming in early and fixing that car, getting that fender right early in the run. And that's going to pay off for him at the end of the race.
All right, crew chief, we're getting ready for first round of pit stops. What should we be looking for?
Well, right now you're talking to your driver, trying to get all the inputs you can and see if what you want to get out of your driver is which way the racetrack's going. And if it's getting tighter, how much is it getting tighter? Do we need to adjust on it now for later?
How much will you extend the window because of all the caution laps we ran?
Well, you can extend your fuel window. You can get about, I really call it 2 for 1. If you run 1 or 2 caution laps, you can get 1 green flag lap. So it's going to extend it out. You can go about 60 to 65 laps under a green flag run.
But are you concerned about tire wear?
That's the problem. The tires may not make that long of a run. And as soon as I'm watching this lap time right here, and as soon as I see the lap times fall off, I'm going to holler at my driver and say, hey, if you think you got a tire problem, let's get in here.
That's the thing I'm looking at right now is tire wear. We're early in the run, and we're getting a lot of green flag runs right now. We saw a lot of cars yesterday actually cording their tires, getting right down to the bare cords, and these guys got to be careful and not blow a tire out or something early.
And Stremme just got loose and wiggled just enough to allow the 29 of Scott Wimmer to duck around and underneath him. So that puts Wimmer up to 6, bumps Stremme back to 7.
Well, this is a point in the race right now where you can't get too aggressive. Like I said, the harder you drive this car, the more you can wear the tires. And, we're looking at about 6-8 laps before these guys are supposed to be hitting pit road. And if I was them, if I got a loose car, I'd just hold on, be patient a little bit right now.
All right, this is a battle for 13th place. Sterling Marlin wants it and takes it away from Stephen Wallace.
How about Sterling Marlin, hometown boy, driving up through the field? He's got that 1 car running pretty good today.
He really does. I mean, he's kind of the go-to guy. anytime you have a problem, Sterling's kind of doing this part-time right now, guys. And so if you need a hand, stick him in. He can get it done.
And Mike, you've got more on the one car?
Yeah, Marty, he was kind of talking about that earlier this weekend, joking that he's only in half retirement. He's been spending some time dealing with some real estate prospects and also working on a late model team, but said he does have some interest in returning, but only part-time. He's looking for about 10 races in the Nationwide Series, but has no interest in being full-time.
And of course, if you missed a countdown or haven't been on the websites or seen the newspaper, he replaced Johnny Sauter earlier this week in that #1 Miccosukee Resorts ride, and right now doing a fine job. Coming up on Kenny Wallace in a 28. That's another change that happened during the week as well, guys.
Yeah, Kenny doesn't look like he's running really well in that car right now, but this is the first time he's been in it, and I believe they're going to probably overhaul that team and try to get a better motor, stuff like that.
He's 34th right now, 1 lap down. So, yeah, you're right. They're struggling a bit.
Well, they just had 1 week to really get ready for this. And Kenny just, I guess they made the announcement this week. You don't have a lot of time to kind of get acclimated. You just get in the seat and go and then kind of figure out where you're at, then start working on it.
You know, last week he finished 11th at Bristol with a pretty good car. Then all of a sudden the team shuts down because of funding problems, and he finds himself in a different car this week. And, you know, a lot of times when a team shuts down, you don't find a car. But he found it pretty quick.
So as we move a little forward, Brad, you've got a question about the #1 car?
Yeah, and this is for Andy. I was talking to Sterling yesterday, and he says, Brad, I just cannot drive this car with these bump stops in them. He said, it just doesn't fit my style. I just cannot stand driving this race car with these bump stops. Why is that? Why is a great race car driver like this, why would he struggle with that car?
Well, Brad, he's driven most of his career without running on. They're actually coil binding these Nationwide Series cars, which is a bump stop. It uses a spring to stop the suspension, and it's very harsh. These cars go down and bang on those springs. It makes a lot of downforce and makes the cars go faster, but it does make them harder to drive. It makes them actually ride really rough. So I understand why he doesn't like it, but if he's going to be successful and run fast, he's going to have to really get to where he can do it.
And I know you got to figure it out. You got to figure out this coil binding stuff and these bump stops. But Andy, why in the world do we even have to have that in this sport? You know, it's got to this point, and all the drivers are always complaining about it.
Well, once you learn something, Rusty, you can't unlearn it. Once these guys learn that getting the front ends of these cars down makes them go faster, they're going to figure out a way to do it. Whether it's with bump stops, coil binding springs, shocks, they're going to figure out how to do it.
Take a look right now. There's Carl Edwards. He's got his mirrors full. The 29 of Scott Wimmer. And Jamie, you got more on the 60 car?
That's right, Carl Edwards. Just a couple laps ago, David Rudeman made the pass on him for 4th, so Carl currently in 5th, and he came on the radio just a few moments ago and talked to his crew chief, Pierre Cattell.
The car's not bad. I mean, on average, the balance throughout the whole run is okay. Just need a little bit of grip, buddy. Just gets a little tight in as we go. It's not bad.
10-4, we're going to make an air pressure adjustment all the way around. 1 pound out of the left side, half a pound out of the right side.
So a lot of changes in order to get more grip on that race car, and I was told by the team they're planning on coming in around lap 60. Marty?
We're working lap 59 of 225, so the pit window is now open. The question is, who's going to blink first?
And whoever blinks first will probably get a caution. You hit pit road, the caution flag comes out, and you're thinking, man, I should have stayed out just a couple more laps. And that's a tough deal when to hit pit road.
That's okay as long as you can make a couple more laps. But if you're out of fuel and you have to come in, I mean, you got to come in. But you don't want to be that first guy.
I'm going to tell you, we've only got 25 cars on the lead lap after 59 circuits, and that's because of that guy up front in the number 20 car just blistering this track.
We've seen Kyle Busch be fast just like this before this year and have problems.
He's still running 30.3 seconds. His best lap was like a 29.9.
Well, that's the thing that's really surprised me, guys. They were all complaining yesterday about wear and tires out so bad. This guy's run almost every lap at the same speed. Right now, we're 59 laps into this race, and he's within a couple tenths of what he started this race at.
Caution is out right there.
And the debris is on the track, and it looks like Marcus Ambrose is going to get caught. He's going to have to just do his drive-through, and that's a tough break for him, as he's the only one. He was the first to come in. He was a little bit further back in the field, but still going to cost him a lot more position.
That's why you don't want to be the first guy on pit road, because almost every time I've tried to be that first guy, you get caught just like that.
Well, that's what I meant.
Yep.
I mean, it's scary to do that. And when you're on pit road first, you're like, oh, man, I'm all by myself. I don't really think I'm supposed to be here right now. Something just feels funny.
So our second caution of the day comes out here at Nashville Superspeedway. And, of course, everybody will be coming. So it means our pit reporters are about to get extremely busy down pit lane.
They won't be the only one busy. You see these boys up on the wall, they're going to be busy.
Oh, these guys have had a long run right now. They know what their cars are doing. They can make their air pressure adjustments, wedge, all that type of stuff. This is going to be a big caution flag right here to get the cars back right.
So here they come. We'll send it down to our Castrol GTX triple pits, and Mike Massaro, you're going to be up first.
And Clint Boyer saying he's a little bit snug getting off the corner. They're going to try to rectify that with an air pressure adjustment on the left side. They're going to make a 4-tire change and fill the thing up completely with 2 cans of Sunoco racing fuel and hope for a pretty good pit stop so far, clean on the right side. Jamie?
Well, David Rudeman started 19th, worked up to 4th. I'd say he doesn't need a whole lot of changes. Just wants it to rotate a little bit better through the center. They're going to make a slight air pressure adjustment and 4 tires. Shannon?
Well, Jamie, Scott Wimmer's happy with the car, says it's just a little tight. They're going to take 4 tires, make a track bar adjustment, and fuel. Vince?
Kyle Busch says the car is just starting to tighten up a bit. They took a half round of wedge out of the left rear. Otherwise, the car has been great, according to crew chief Dave Rogers.
And take a look at the race off pit road. Clint Boyer picks up the race lead ahead of Kyle Busch. Scott Wimmer is third. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back for the restart here at Nashville Superspeedway.
Back at Nashville, wrapping up the second caution. Our coverage today presented by Tractor Supply Company. Clint Boyer, the leader off the pit stops. And as a result of that second yellow flag, Marcus Ambrose is the Aaron's Lucky Dog Free Pass winner. He's the first driver a lap down. Remember, he got caught on pit road at the caution flag. He gets back on the lead lap. He's in 25th place. Difference between Clint Boyer and Kyle Busch getting off pit road first. Watch the right rear tire change. Looks like he just hits one lug twice. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Shows you how competitive this sport is. That can cost you, a quarter of a second, and that's the difference between coming out first or second. Unbelievable.
Just the difference between those two drivers. Kyle Busch came down the pit lane with the lead, but that one extra hit on that right rear tire allowed Clint Boyer to get off the pit lane with the race lead. So going back to green at lap 64, let's go full throttle.
Barely there. Clear. All clear. Still inside. Still there. Clear. Still out there. Still out there all the way off. Clear. Don't finally dive in. You're good. You're good. Side there. Side nose. All clear. Bottom clear. Still outside to your door. Still there.
So Clint Boyer holds off a hard-charging Kyle Busch, but the two of them are starting to check out on the rest of the field. Boyer now sliding up and opening the door. Can Kyle go underneath? Here we go.
Wow, did you see that 20 car turn that steering wheel and turn right underneath Clint Boyer?
We watched him do that in practice yesterday. He off a turn 2, he could keep that car right dead on the bottom of the track, and that's where he was beating everybody.
And he is back into the race lead. It only took him a lap and about a quarter.
And Clint didn't give it to him either. Clint was racing him hard for that spot, and Kyle just drove right under him.
Okay, if you're Clint, Rusty, what are you thinking right now?
Well, right now, I mean, he slid up in that first corner, and Kyle got underneath him. He's probably thinking to settle down and let this tire pressure come up, and then he can really evaluate how his car's doing, because this is the first time the whole race we've seen these two this close.
Mike Massaro, what's going on in the 2 camp?
Well, as you might imagine, Marty, everybody really scouring over the tires right now. And on the 2 car, the tires look real good. But there was one real interested participant, and that was Gil Martin. Of course, Gil Martin, the crew chief for Boyer on the Sprint Cup side of things. He told me earlier this weekend he was here just as a spectator, but I have difficulty believing that, considering this is one of the very few off weekends for the Sprint Cup Series. Yesterday during practice, he had a very long conversation with Clint Boyer as he leaned in the window of the car. After that conversation, Clint shot right up the speed chart. So it seems like Gil Martin is adding to the competition for this team today. Let's go to Vince.
As far as the tire situation on the 20 car is concerned, crew chief Dave Rogers inspected them thoroughly after that pit stop of Kyle Busch. Immediately got on the radio and told Busch the tires could not have been any better. They were wearing perfectly. Certainly good news for the 20 team.
Yeah, and bad news for everybody else.
I started to say, that's bad for everybody. Well, I tell you, that's really good news to run on this green racetrack early in the run and nobody's having any tire problems, that makes all of us up here in the booth feel good. I don't want to see any cautions or blown out tires because of just wearing them out.
How about Clint Boyer now? He's pushing him. He's got his car dialed in a little bit better, pushing Kyle Busch.
You know, there's times during the first part of the race, guys, that we saw Clint Boyer actually running down Kyle Busch a little bit. But, you know, they had that one stop now. They've made some adjustments, and probably looks like it's helped Clint Boyer, that's for sure.
That last lap, actually, David Rudeman running third was 3/10 faster than these guys.
And you know, Rudeman did that the last time also. Really picked it up.
Take a look right there. There's Kelly Byers going around David Stremme. That is for 6th position on the racetrack. These guys are 3 seconds behind the race leaders. Here comes Stephen Light as well to give Stremme a handful. That's Light in the 21, and he's going to take the spot.
Tell you what, Stephen Light in our countdown show was really excited about his car. He said, this is probably the best car I think I've ever driven.
Here comes Clint Boyer as we go back to the race for the lead down the backstretch heading into 3. And Boyer says, I do have something for you.
Hello, Kyle Busch. Here I am.
So we've had our 3rd lead change between these two drivers, and each one has done it to the other at least once under green.
Looks like these Childress boys worked on that car and adjusted on it a little bit because Clint's car is definitely better this run.
Getting a little bit of a traffic jam a little bit further back. You saw Bobby Hamilton Jr. looked like he might have had a little bit of contact with the 7 car of Mike Wallace, but both managed to get through unscathed. You're on board with Wallace right now. He's in 21st position.
It's a 2-groove racetrack now.
I started to say, whether they're trying to run 2 grooves or not, they're ending up there. They're getting knocked up there. They're sliding up there. And you know, if you can get up in that 2nd groove, lay a little rubber down, I mean, it's going to bring it in. Those guys can actually pass up there.
Getting close right there. That was a close call.
Yeah, you're on board with Brad Coleman. At least you were there for a second in the Cottonelle Ford with our Tractor Supply camera.
Tell you what, when I used to drive, I was never near as nervous as I am watching these guys. You sit up there and watch them. I jump up, sit down, jump up, sit down. They flat make you nervous. These guys run close at this racetrack, and it's awful flat.
All right, let's take a look at this now. All of a sudden, Clint Boyer is showing a little muscle and has opened up almost a half a second lead over Kyle Busch.
So, Andy, we were looking at horsepower earlier between the 20 car and the rest of the field, and right now, I mean, are we just seeing a better handling car? Are we seeing horsepower here? I think it's probably handling.
Oh, definitely handling, taking over right now. The track's changing, get a little more rubber on it. Looks like it's in Clint Boyer's favor with this 2 car.
So Clint Boyer is out in front. Can he make it 2 wins in 2 weeks? Remember, he won the rain-shortened race at Bristol? Well, stay with us and find out.
I fell into a burning ring of fire. I went down.
Clint Boyer out in front of today's race at Nashville Superspeedway. Our ESPN Live coverage presented by Tractor Supply Company. Boyer leading Kyle Busch by about a half a second. He took the lead just a little bit ago. A look at our Holiday Inn Express race summary. Some of the facts and figures on the day. You got Boyer and Kyle Busch, the 2 drivers who have been out in front. Busch basically dominated the opening chunk of the race. Then he and Clint swapped the lead back and forth after a restart recently. And now it is Boyer moving away from Kyle Busch. On the lead lap at the moment, 25 of the 43 starters. 3rd place changed hands just a minute ago. Scott Wimmer in the 29 Holiday Inn Express car just moved up and took it away from David Rudeman. Here's how.
He really did. David Rudeman's got a good run going. You see Scott drive right in on the inside. Gets a little bit of air off of him and just slides right past him. Both those cars are pretty equal, though. And the top 5 cars are all running very, very close.
The Rudeman problems in this segment of the race, nothing like what he had a little bit ago. Jamie?
Yeah, it was quite interesting. It's been pretty smooth sailing until he tried to come in for his last pit stop, and he came on the radio and told his team this.
I fell off about 10 laps before I pitted because the freaking seat belt, my right side belt, shoulder strap come unhooked. I was trying to get it back in.
Well, lucky enough for David Rudeman, he was under caution when that happened, so he had a chance to click his belt. Now, for you at home that don't realize, these aren't like your seat belts in your street car. They're actually a 5-point harness. And for more on that, let's check in with our own Tim Brewer at the ESPN Dish Tech Center.
Thanks, Jamie. Been racing a long time. I'd never heard of a seatbelt actually coming off because, folks, what you actually do, you have to put this clevis toe here and actually put the lever down there, and it locks it in. The only thing I'm thinking, if the guy got in a hurry when he got in a race car, maybe in a rage, he forgot to hook this belt up. That's the only thing that I'm thinking. But with the impact seat belts, they're pretty much foolproof here, and you do have restraints as far as putting this Velcro over there so your hand can't come up there and release that thing. So I don't know what happened with that thing, but Marty, maybe you guys want to talk about it a little bit more. Rusty?
Tell you what, the only thing I can think of, I don't think he has a latch-style seatbelt maybe. That's the only thing I can think of, Tim, that maybe he's got the seatbelt system that you actually plug in and it clicks in and locks in. And Andy, evidently the right side must have not been locked in fully and it popped out on him.
I know one thing. You don't want to run one lap without a seatbelt on.
Oh, not at this racetrack. That's for sure. Not any racetrack, man. That'd be terrible.
Take a look. That is Jason Leffler going around David Stremme, and that is a position change. Move Leffler up to 10th. On board with Jason.
There's another car sneaking into the picture. Denny Hamlin. We haven't talked much about him. He's driving another one of these Toyotas.
That's a battle for 6th on the racetrack. That's Carl Edwards and the 21 of Stephen Light. Take a look at Brad Keselowski. He is running in 8th, and right out of this picture in 9th, believe it or not, is Mike Bliss. There he is. He was 42nd at one point. He's back into the top 10.
That was a great move by Paul Wolf, the crew chief, on this car to bring him down pit road early. That first caution we had there with less than 20 laps into the race and fixing this thing and getting it right because he has a fast car. And with patience, and he is a patient race car driver. He's fast and patient.
Let's get more from Shannon Spake.
Well, Marty, Mike Bliss and his crew chief knew exactly what you guys were talking, that under that caution, that would be the best time for them to come down. They actually came down pit road twice during that first caution, fixed that right side fender. They also made some adjustments to the car. Now, on the last pit stop on lap 61, they took rubber out of the left rear. Obviously, you can see that car is adjusted well because Mike Bliss, making his way through the field, has worked his way all the way back up.
Well, as Mike Bliss continues to motor, I was checking. They spent 2 minutes, 43 seconds in the pits. Had they done that under green, he'd be toast right now. Take a look at the highest-ranked non-Sprint Cup driver. He's 6th in the points and running strong.
The NASCAR Nationwide Series running today at the Nashville Superspeedway on this Saturday of Easter weekend. Our coverage presented by Tractor Supply Company. Been a two-man show at the front of the pack so far. Kyle Busch leading the early stages of the race. Clint Bowyer taking the lead on a set of pit stops at lap 61. Bowyer and Kyle trading the lead twice after the restart. And now Clint has moved away from Kyle Busch. We talk about Richard Childress Racing, Brad, you and I during the commercial break, on a roll.
Boy, they absolutely are. As you saw at Bristol last week, Alan, they had great finishes there. And once again, you got Clint Bowyer and Scott Wimmer running up front. I'm really impressed as well, though, with Kelly Byers. He has maintained that 5th place position, the place where he started this race, and that's looked awful strong.
And we are about 30 laps away from the next set of pit stops if we stay under the green flag and don't have any incidents on the racetrack. So Bowyer and Busch leading these top 2 spots. Now, during our NASCAR Countdown show, we talked about cars you're familiar with drivers you might not be familiar with in today's race. Let's look at a few of those driver-car combinations and how the youngsters are faring today. Drop back to about 14th place and find Cale Gale running the Kevin Harvick 33. Vince, you got some updates for us on Cale?
Yeah, Wally Rogers, in fact, just been on the radio with Cale, encouraging him as he moves through the corners, telling him he's starting to find his rhythm through the corners and hitting his spots just right. Cale Gale told me he's feeling a little bit of pressure this weekend to run well since Kevin Harvick has done so well in this car. 3 top 5s and the points lead for Harvick in the 33 car. Alan?
Vince, just a couple of spots behind him on the racetrack. Colin Brown. Yes, I know the way it's spelled. He pronounces it Brown. Running that Roush Fenway 16, Jamie, doing a fine job.
He's doing a great job, you know, just smooth and steady. Jack Roush, the owner, told him, all we want you to do is finish. Get practice. This is only his 2nd start ever in a nationwide car. And he was actually the fastest qualifying rookie today. He started 9th. Now, the team is really looking forward to the efforts with this kid in Mexico City. He's a road course specialist. And like I said, this is just his 2nd start in an oval in a nationwide car. So they're very proud of his efforts so far today. Alan?
And again, Colin running in the 16th place right now in that 16 car. A few spots farther back, Chase Miller. Ew, dodging a very, very wiggly Mike Wallace. Chasing that Abraham Gillette number 9 car. He ran a few races last year, Vince, and he's back again 2008.
Yeah, they just came on the radio and told him you're 4/10 quicker than the cars in front of you. So good job and be patient. His goal, finish the race today. He spent a lot of time with Jason Keller this week to get a better understanding of this racetrack. Keller actually took Miller out in the pace car yesterday to discuss the line and the entry to the corner, the apex and the exit. And right now, Miller's on pace to, as he says, finish the race. Alan?
All right, Vince, in the final of the quartet of unfamiliar faces in familiar rides, we want to check on Landon Castle in this 5. Of course, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Mark Martin, Martin Truex Jr. have driven that car this year. Today, it is the youngster originally from Iowa. While we check on him, we'll also check on the lead.
Looks like Kyle Busch is going to take that lead back. He's tired of riding behind Clint. They're going to play hand me over right here real quick, and I think Clint's going to ride and save those tires for a little bit.
All right, so getting on in age on this set of tires and the number of laps on them. Kyle Busch comes back to the 4 and retakes the lead here just shy of lap number 100. Landon Castle in that Junior Motorsports car running 23rd place. We'll check on him a little bit later in the day. Coming up on a set of pit stops, so we'll take a break, come back, make sure we're here for all the action on pit road. Kyle Busch back out in front in Nashville.
Elmer Fudd doing the play-by-play. Where's that Wesley Webbett? He's a Jack Webbett. That's where he is.
That's pretty good, Marty. I like that.
We're having a lot of fun on Easter weekend. Hope you are too. Hey, don't lay down on the job. Come on. All right, let's get back to the racing action because we've had a good one so far. A lot of action throughout this field here at Nashville Superspeedway. Kyle Busch has retaken the lead. We've had 4 lead changes between he and Clint Boyer. Scott Wimmer is running 3rd. David Rudeman in 4th. And Kelly Byers rounds out your top 5. As you see the number 20 with Kyle Busch motoring along. He is about a second ahead now of Clint Boyer. Rounding out the top 10, it is Carl Edwards. Denny Hamlin has moved up to 7th. Brad Keselowski is 8th. Stephen Light is 9th. And Mike Bliss rounds out your top 10.
We're about 15 laps away from green flag pit stops again, if we can make it that far without a caution.
Andy, I tell you what, Kyle Busch has just flat put that thing in a different gear. He just ran a 30.40 and Clint Boyer's 30.65, and they got clean tracks. He's over 2.5 tenths faster than Boyer right now, and it's just
Well, I'm just going to go ahead
flying.
and say it. I think he's actually playing with these guys a little bit. I swear. I keep watching these lap times, and you see he'll run comparable lap times to these guys, and every now and then you'll see that he'll pop a lap about 3 tenths faster than everybody.
Yeah, but remember, this guy doesn't have any patience. You think he's got enough patience to just play with him?
Well,
I mean,
don't
it
know.
looks like he's just checking out right now.
Well, you saw Jason Leffler go around Mike Bliss. That was for position. So Leffler moves into 10th, bump Bliss back to 11th, and that is Stephen Light right in front of Leffler in the 38 car. The 21 belongs to Light, and he's under pressure. Remember the talk about at the beginning of the broadcast, it has been Leffler and a guy by the name of Edwards that have done very well here at Nashville, as well as Clint Boyer with 7 top 5 finishes. He is looking underneath, trying to get under Stephen Light here, take another spot, and he does.
Tell you what, he's got that 22 car, Mike Bliss, hanging right there too. And look at Bliss. His car just hooks the bottom and drives right under Jason Leffler.
So these 3 are playing leapfrog.
All right, now I got a feeling if the 22 car of Bliss can get in front of him and get in that clean air, he'll just drive off because he's locked to the bottom of the track. He can't let the car drift up any at all. And look at it, he gets loose down there. See, that's what happens when you get pinned to the bottom of the track.
And you see it'll cost him 2 spots.
He's actually faster than these guys. You just can't seem to clear him. And his car looks like it's very neutral, Andy, just right on the edge.
Let's get more on the 38 from Shannon Spake.
Yeah, well, Jason Leffler this season is working with Stuart Cooper, his crew chief, for the first year this year. That, of course, right there is his former crew chief, Todd Losey, but Stuart Cooper right behind him on the pit box, working with him for the first time this year. Stuart Cooper is not his first job as a crew chief, but he is still very much a student of the job. He goes back and he watches races every single week, watches past races in order to get up to speed, learn how to work this track, look at race strategy, pit strategy. He told me, in fact, that he went back all the way back to 2004 and watched all of the races here at this track just for this race weekend.
All right, thanks, Dan. There you get an idea of Leffler as now he is trying to get around some slower traffic. That's a 37 of Baker, and no, that got a little dicey. And it looks like they have cleared that battle. So, and take a look at this. All of a sudden, Carl Edwards surrenders 6th place to the 32 of Denny Hamlin.
Denny Hamlin's just been sneaking up to the front since the start of the race. I saw him show up, a couple of our camera shots. We were showing some of these races, and every time you'd see him just sneaking right in the picture. So he's not going to be able to sneak too much more if he gets up there in the top 5.
Well, he started 21st, if you remember. So you're right, Andy. I mean, he has been slow but steady, and here he is now in 6th place, knocking on the door for a top 5.
Looks like about 6 more laps before these guys start heading down pit road for some fuel and tires.
That's Kyle Busch going around Eric McClure, and let's check in with Vince Welch.
Kyle Busch still leading Clint Boyer, but the track is changing. Busch says as there's more rubber put down on the track, both his car and Boyer's are starting to handle differently.
I was a little bit too loose to go at the beginning. He was loose going fast, and then he's tightened up, and it's too tight. Mine is a little bit tight now, but it's freer than his. So I just need something that's going to be able to keep up with him at the beginning of the run, and I guess somehow tail off, the end of the run a little bit.
You hear it's not an exact science, but they're going to make an air pressure adjustment, and they hope that makes the car a little better for the 20 team and Kyle Busch.
I love it. He's talking about problems, and he's still running 30.5 seconds in traffic.
Oh, it's unbelievable. He just ran like a 30-20 2 laps ago, so he is just... This car doesn't slow down a bit from the beginning of the run to the end of the run.
One thing he did do is confirm what we said at the beginning of the show, that the track was going to get tighter when they got rubber on it. It has done that, and now you see his car's still good, but some of these other guys are struggling with that. And if they can get their cars adjusted, they'll be back up there.
And you can see he is putting Colin Brown 1 lap down. That means we only have 19 cars on the lead lap, and his next victim is Stephen Wallace. Now take a look at when we get to the halfway point of races this year, and Kyle's record. 2nd at Daytona, finished 2nd. 13th, 2nd, but then Las Vegas, Atlanta, and of course the disaster at Bristol.
All these are problems. That car was super fast every single time that he had these problems. So, if he can finish the race, he's going to be 1st or 2nd.
Rusty, as we talk about Kyle Busch, you hear everyone say it. He is so fast. Is that because he is just so talented? Why is it when he gets into this car or his Cup car, he is always fast? That's the common denominator in this guy when you're talking about him.
Brad, this guy is just naturally talented. He's a heck of a race car driver, and he's done it in the trucks, the Cup Series, now the Nationwide Series. You just got to hand it to him. He's really well-rounded, and he's got good feedback, too, to his team guys.
Brad, there's one thing, basketball players, there were some of those guys that could actually shoot better and dribble better than others. There's guys that can drive race cars better than others.
Yeah.
And just something else to think about that most people overlook with Kyle Busch, guys. He graduated high school early in order to go racing, and he graduated with honors. So not just doubling up on his school workload to get through and go concentrate on racing, but he did it at an exceptional level. The guy is bright. He understands a lot of the science and the math that goes into these race cars. He can't not only just drive a race car fast, he's pretty bright, too.
A lot of drivers have a problem driving and thinking at the same time, though, Alan.
I'll let you deal with that with the guy standing next to you.
Yeah, I moved over a little bit when I said that.
Yeah, he's in my lap. That's telling you the truth. Hey, we've only got 18 cars on the lead lap now. Stephen Wallace was just put a lap down, and the next victim will be David Reagan in the number 6, unless we get a caution here pretty soon, because, boy, he is just eating up this concrete and laying it down. All right, we're getting awfully close to pit stops. What do you do now? Because you got to find some kind of answer for this.
Well, that's the thing. If I'm the crew chief for these other guys, we got to find something that we can do to get our car where it'll handle like this car. And we heard what Kyle said about Clint's car. He needs to free it up. They need to make a change, and I'm not sure that they don't really need to get pretty serious with it and make it a lot freer, because this track's going to continue to get tighter.
And we've got our first pit stop here in the 2nd round. That is David Rudiman as he pulls off the track. He was in 6th position. Let's send it to Jamie.
David Rudiman pulls in. He said the front tires were chattering a bit and his car's getting tight, which seems to be the overall consensus today. He's going to take 4 tires. They're going to go up on that track bar a little bit to loosen them up. See how good they do here on this stop. I think his safety belts are working all right for him. The hearts are pumping these green flag stops. It's all the team can do. He's down and away, guys. 15.8, Marty.
All right, thanks, Jamie. And while all that was going on, here comes the 32 now as Denny Hamlin pulls into pit lane. Jamie, you're up again.
And Denny Hamlin, you guys said he was sneaking up. I don't think he can sneak anywhere in that bright yellow number 32, but this is the first time he's working with crew chief Trent Owens. Last pit stop, they dropped a lug nut. It cost him some spots, but he regained himself. He ran in the top 10, so they're doing 4 tires, and he said he's just a little bit tight. Let's go to Shannon.
Well, Jamie, Jason Leffler won this race in 2004, finished in the top 5 twice last season. Right now, he's saying that the car is loose. They're going to make air pressure adjustment in all 4 tires and make a track bar adjustment, of course, 4 tires and fuel.
And meanwhile, Kyle Busch continues to circle the 1.3-mile concrete oval here at Nashville Superspeedway. Here comes Sterling Marlin. Mike?
And Sterling Marlin coming in. He hits his marks perfectly as they go to work on the right side now. The car just a little bit tight. They're going to make a 4-tire change, a slight air pressure adjustment, and 2 cans of racing fuel for Sterling Marlin as they go to work now on the left side of that race car.
And that's Jason McDowell with our crew cam. He sang the anthem in 2004 at Peach State Speedway, so maybe he should be doing our singing instead of the 3 of us up here.
You're doing a little dancing down there on pit road with that jack. Whoa, just about caught that cone.
And you better get it down to 45 miles an hour because here comes our race leader.
4,000.
And we also got another car in with Clint Boyer, Mike Massaro.
And Clint Boyer having a very strong day. Very slight complaints. Nothing major, saying it's a little bit tight off. They're going to make a 4-tire change and also go to work on the chassis a little bit, making an adjustment on the track bar. 4 tires and fuel for the 2 car.
With the 20 car of Kyle Busch, he is in. They're going to take on the 4 tires and the fuel, and they're also going to put in that wedge that they took out on the very first stop. The car is very good, just a very minor adjustment. Kyle Busch, they did remind him, watch your speed on pit lane. The 21 car is in as well, and that is Stephen Light. Light's been complaining that it's loose in, but it is turning a little bit better in the corners. Shannon Spake.
Well, Scott Wimmer making his 3rd start of the season in that 29 car, saying that the car is loose, you guys. They're going to make some track bar adjustment, give him 4 tires and fuel. He, of course, is in that 29 car, the championship owner from last season, looking to defend that championship this season. He's down and away. Vince.
The 64 car is driven by David Strimmy. That was supposed to be piloted by Chase Austin, but because Strimmy has had such a good run in recent weeks, they kept Strimmy in that race car. He's been running it near the top 10 all day long, says it's a little free. We've got an incident.
And it is the 22 of Mike Bliss. Right at the entrance to pit lane. Doesn't look like anybody had any contact. That scrape on the side of the car, that's from earlier in the race when Bliss brushed the wall in turn 4. Let's check in on Carl Edwards. Jamie?
Carl Edwards said he just needs a wedge adjustment. The car is actually pretty good. It's coming to him. Carl staying in the top 4. He's down and away with 4 fresh ones. Marty?
All right, this pit cycle continues. Right now, Brad Keselowski showing the leader, and he is also coming into pit lane now. And there is Mike Bliss. Let's go to Brad Keselowski's pit stop, Vince.
Brad Keselowski is going to take 1 round on the track bar. They've been battling this car back and forth today. Keselowski says that he's sliding the nose in and he's loose off in the corner. They just haven't been able to find that key balance yet today. Shannon?
Well, Bobby Hamilton Jr., the car's been free all day, so they're going to go to work on that car. He started this race 17th, guys. This is his 10th start here in Nashville. His best finish was 2nd back in 2002.
All right, so Bobby pulls out. The time a little slower than some of the others that we have seen, but it looks like we've almost finished the cycle. And right now, Kyle Busch has put himself back into the lead as the pit stops have cycled through. Clint Boyer is 2nd. And it looks like we're being told that one of the cars may have missed the cones.
See, these guys are really struggling to get down pit road.
4,000 at the line.
That's a violation, a pit lane violation. He'll have to make a pass-through penalty. There's a couple of other cars that they're actually going to have to make a pass-through penalty.
That was Brad Breaker in the 37. There he is right there. Lives in Franklin, Tennessee.
His teammate also went around the cone, so he's going to have to make another trip down pit road.
And you can tell as these guys in the middle of turn 3 and 4, they get ready to come down pit road, and that entrance just really sneaks up on them, and they're going way too fast.
Well, there's your top 5 right across the top of your screen after 130 of 225 laps here at Nashville. Who is going to win it? Stay with us to find out.
Long history of racing in Nashville, Tennessee, and a great crowd has turned out on the Saturday of this Easter weekend, including a few young Easter fans.
Absolutely, good to see.
And they're seeing Kyle Busch be the man so far this afternoon here at the Nashville Superspeedway. Now, a Nationwide Series is off next weekend, 2 weeks from today, Saturday, April 5th, 2:30 Eastern Time on ESPN2, deep in the heart of Texas.
Great venue, great speed, a lot of horsepower, fun side-by-side racing in Texas.
Kevin Harvick's been the man there, won 3 of the last 5 Nationwide Series events in Texas, 300-miler there. Again, 2 weeks from today, 2:30 Eastern on ESPN2. Andy mentioned a bunch of penalties to be passed out because of the pit stops a minute ago. Mike Bliss is one of the drivers, just made a pass-through penalty. It's left him a lap down. Here's why. Watch top of the screen.
Oh, man. Luke trying to get in there. The cone wasn't there, and he probably missed his marks there trying to get in there, Alan.
He kind of missed the commitment point there. Yeah. So Mike Bliss way back down in 21st spot. Now, Kelly Byers has been up among the front runners all day, but for a second pit stop, Mike, things haven't gone so well.
And that's right, Alan. Over the last couple of pit stops, they've lost a total of 9 positions, and that's where they run right now on the scoreboard. And after that last stop, you could hear the frustration in Byers' voice.
Come on, guys, we're better than that. Hang in there, bud. Just focus on your job. I'll fix this in here. Stay in the game.
Big concern on the Byers car right now, running very hot. You could see the steam coming out of that car as he made his last pit stop. The problem, again, a pit road mistake on the previous stop. They put the tape in the wrong place, so that's led to a problem that they had to correct on that last stop.
All right, thanks, guys. As you see, Kelly Byers continuing to motor around. Meanwhile, we can tell you that Kyle Busch is still in control of this race. He has led 139, well, let's see, no, he has led, 103 laps. I've got it, and we're going to figure up what that 20 car has led now, because remember, they came into this race leading 51%, and they just keep clicking them off.
Going to add to that total here.
That car, every time we see it run, guys, it's just so quick. It doesn't seem to matter who drives the car either. Tony Stewart, you saw how good he ran. Now Kyle Busch in this thing, just amazing. The crew chief's got to get a big hand to this crew chief. This guy's done a heck of a job.
It's now up to over 60% and continuing to go higher. That's an incredible statistic when you think about it. 6 races, 1 car, over 60% of the laps led. Meanwhile, Clint Bowyer is trying to reel him in. He is 2.5 seconds behind. He does have one thing going for him. The pole sitter has only won once here in 13 prior races. That was Reed Sorensen back in March 2005. So who knows? Maybe a little history might help Clint, but right now I don't think so. And meanwhile, a little further back, you got Wimmer in 3rd, David Rudiman in 4th, Denny Hamlin in 5th, and we're looking for the 60 car of Carl Edwards, because it has not been one of those dominant concrete performances that we have been accustomed to from him here at this track.
You usually don't have to look this far back to find Carl Edwards on a concrete racetrack. I'm really surprised that this car has not been better here this weekend. Can you tell us what's going on with him, Jamie?
Yeah, actually, I was talking to his crew chief, Pierre Cattell, early this morning, and he said, you know, with this new spacer on these cars, it's taking Carl a bit of time to figure it out. He said it seems like he figures out how to drive this car at each particular track about 1/3 of the way through. I think that's happening right about now. Carl said he is in school. He told our own Mike Massaro yesterday he feels like he's gone to school to learn how to drive this car here at this track, because these guys, they aren't carrying momentum like they want to, and that's what it's all about. The power has been taken away from them with this it is basically a restrictor plate, this spacer plate. So they're trying to carry momentum. Carl Edwards trying to figure it all out, but just now he came on the radio and said, guys, this run is a lot better than the last.
Well, he's going to have to, because he's got to go better. He's 17.9 seconds behind the race leader. And let's talk a little bit more about those tapered spacers. Let's check in at the ESPN Dish Tech Center with our own Tim Brewer.
Thanks, Marty. Folks, what we're going to talk about here, this is a spacer that we normally run that's a wide open area. But back at the first of the year, after we got through with Daytona, they came up with this innovation right here. What it is, it's literally a tapered spacer. It's not a restrictor plate, but what it did, it knocked 80 horsepower out of the motor at the rear wheels. So what that's going to do is change the characteristics of spring shock absorbers, the way the guys drive down into the corner. When they go after that gas, they hadn't got the throttle response. So anytime they take a significant amount of horsepower out of the motor, 80 horsepower, you got to go back and research any aspect of the car, because it's going to drive different. Rusty?
Tell you what, what they're trying to do is just save some money for these owners. They're trying to get us so they can run these engines twice. They're taking horsepower out of the engine. They think if they take some power out, these guys, instead of rebuild them every single week, they can maybe get 2 and maybe 3 races out of these engines.
That's the thinking, and they're always trying to do things to help the car owners to save money, make the competition better, or make it safer. And this is one of those that hopefully was going to do 2 things: make it safer. I mean, well, actually could make it safer, but enhance the competition and lower the cost. It's yet to be seen whether these guys will run these engines 2 races. I doubt you'll see that in these top-tier teams, but some of the other teams may be able to do that. And if they can, then mission accomplished.
The top-tier teams you're talking about, a lot of the guys actually lease their engines from different people like Richard Childress Racing or Robert Yates, Jack Roush, those guys. And you know what? They really don't care if they run 2 or 3 races. They got one price for the whole year. And, hey, they're going to want a fresh engine every race.
Well, you see Carl going around Landon Castle. Castle, the youngster, 18 years old. He's a lap down in 19th position, keeping his nose clean. Take a look. There's your top 5 with 77 laps to go. Everybody is chasing that man right there, Kyle Busch, as he is out in front by 2.6 seconds. How about Denny Hamlin? Remember, he started 21st in this race. He has moved up to 5th. Right ahead of him is David Ruderman, another man who has picked up a ton of positions. Scott Wimmer and Clint Boyer in the chase.
Bang, 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 bang. Boom, 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 boom.
The Pepsi 300 at the Nashville Speedway. Our live coverage of the NASCAR Nationwide Series on ESPN. Today's coverage presented by Tractor Supply Company. 71 laps to go. It's all Kyle Busch right now, out in front of Clint Boyer by about 2.9 seconds. Scott Wimmer, David Ruderman, Denny Hamlin are the rest of the top 5 with one more pit stop to go in this race. Let's check on some of these top 5 runners now, see what the thinking is in their pits. And we'll start in the leader's stall with Vince.
Well, there hasn't been much to complain about for Kyle Busch and the 20 team today, although Busch says the car is just a little bit tight in the center and a little bit loose off, and we've got a caution on the racetrack.
Well, we've got a debris, I believe, out in turn number 3 is what they're calling right now, and so we will go under our 3rd caution today with 70 laps to go. And guess what? I think that's just outside the window.
It is just on the edge. This is going to get interesting right here because, yeah, there's some brake duct hose. That's got wire reinforcement in it, and that's probably why NASCAR threw the caution, just to get that off the racetrack. But this is going to be a real tight fuel window for a lot of these cars. It's a big break for the 21 car, Stephen Light. He was on the access road to come into the pit area when that caution came out, and he pulled out around where the cone would be if somebody had knocked it down earlier, the commitment cone. So he stays on the lead, or actually doesn't lose another lap.
The hose, that could be blowed around and got blown out of the way, but, NASCAR, they can't tell if that's metal or what that is out there, so it's pretty smart bringing a caution out.
The Aaron's Lucky Dog will go to David Stremme as he will get his lap back. And that will bring us back to, I believe, 12 cars on the lead lap. I guess the one question mark I would have is whether or not Stephen Light gets credited to be back on that lead lap, or if they're going to...
Well, they're showing Stephen Light right now actually ahead of David Stremme.
Yeah, they've got Stephen in 11th, David in 12th, but yet they're telling us it was Stremme that gets the lucky dog. We'll get that sorted out. Let's go down and set up our first of 3 pit stops. Mike Massaro.
And Clint Boyer on his way to his pit stall. Radio comment recently just described the car as pretty good. A little bit loose. They won't make any major adjustment. Just 4 sticker tires and fuel for Boyer.
Well, Mike, Denny Hamlin just pulled in. The team just figured out that Denny Hamlin cannot communicate with them. They asked him to wave his hand out the window if he could hear them. So he's hearing them. They can't hear Denny Hamlin. They're going to hand him a backup radio through the window and see if that'll help the communication, guys. It's 4 tires and a track bar adjustment for Denny.
Well, Scott Wimmer done with his pit stop right now. The car is just really loose. They're going to do an air pressure adjustment, guys, and add some Sunoco fuel to that.
Well, what we figured out was the 21 was not yet lapped, so he got his lap back, and he's now making his pit stop. So Light will stay on the lead lap. David Stremme is the lucky dog, and there you see the race off pit road, and now you're all caught up, and I got to catch my breath. Don't forget, a week from tonight, the IndyCar Series kicks off. 8 o'clock Eastern on ESPN2. Of course, Helio Castroneves won Dancing with the Stars, and everybody saw Danica Patrick, and the SI swimsuit issue. Now you get to see them in their daytime jobs, although it'll be under the lights at Homestead Miami Speedway, 8 Eastern on ESPN2 next Saturday night. 26 cars. I'm looking forward to doing that race.
Man, that's more cars than that series never had in a long time.
Long time. Sure. We're getting ready to go back to green flag racing. And as we do, it is Kyle Busch, Clint Bowyer, Scott Wimmer, Carl Edwards, David Rudiman. That is your top 5. We have 12 cars total on the lead lap, and there goes Kyle again. Boy, he has been great on the restarts. Well, he's been great all day.
Yeah, I haven't seen anywhere he hasn't been great today. This is the only place in the time in the race we've seen Clint Bowyer able to do something with him. Is these early parts of the run when we made that, had that last caution and made that first run, he was able to pass Kyle Busch.
We go back to green with 65 laps to go. That's really the outside stretch of the window, so it's going to be interesting to see now how this race unfolds if we go green the whole way.
He actually pitted with more like 70 laps to go, so it's 68 laps to go. That's going to be really stretching on that fuel.
Well, if Kyle Busch is actually playing with everybody up there, Andy, taking backing up a little bit, slowing down, park throttling it. I mean, he can get good gas mileage if he does that. Yeah, that's right. He's going to have to do that to make it to the very end. I think all these guys are nervous right now, and they're all relying on one more stop to feel comfortable.
There's Carl Edwards, as he is currently shown in 5th. That's David Rudiman in front of him in the 99 in 4th. Carl, of course, looking for 4 in a row here at Nashville. Although he has not led a single lap today, it's only been the Kyle Busch, Clint Bowyer show up front.
See, early in the run here, Bowyer can get right to his tail, and I believe it's those cool tires, fresh tires in both these cars, and Bowyer looks like he's got a little bit better car under these conditions. Oh, underneath, and Kyle spins.
Kyle Busch is in trouble across the infield grass. Keeps his foot in the throttle as best he can. He's coming back out on the track. Here we go.
He's got some damage on the left front.
Stay right there.
And this is what this Kyle Busch just keeps having problems like this, dominating these races, and something goes wrong. It looks like when Clint got underneath him, he just got real loose.
See, he's got some damage on that left front fender, rubbing the left front tire.
Four tires.
He's got to get that fixed, or it is going to cut that tire down.
Well, he's calling for 4 tires, which means he's going to be coming in.
She got a little loose right there, and Bowyer didn't have anything to do with that one. Oh, he just skimmed by. Clint did.
Clint's got some damage from that, too. It knocked the right rear quarter panel in and maybe even rubbed that tire.
Yeah, it's a wonder that Clint's tire is still up right now.
Let's ride with Kyle.
Oh, I don't know if I want to. It's a rough ride through the infield.
Here we go again, guys. He's going to have to make a green flag stop. He has led 125 laps today, and this is becoming an all too familiar story.
Well, the problem he's got right now, he's just got a lot of aerodynamic damage. This car's probably going to push the front end real bad when they do pull the fenders out.
60 laps to go.
4,000.
He's got to go all the way down pit lane. He's at the very first pit at pit out.
So he'll basically go a lap down before he gets stopped in his stall. And these guys have to do some quick work to just keep it down to losing just 1 lap.
Yeah, there goes Clint Bowyer by right now. He is 1 lap down.
Well, if I'd have gone to the left side and just tried to fix the damage, the right side tires were okay.
Vince?
Well, they are changing all 4 tires, obviously, as Kyle was asking for. There is damage to the left front. They're going to take the hammer to that. Dave Rogers, the crew chief, said they were going to be 6 laps short on fuel, so they were able to put in the fuel here. And now Kyle stalls it and finally gets it away. Mike Massaro.
And there could also be some concern in the 2 camp. Clint Bowyer thinks he might have got a piece of that. He's concerned that the right front tire may be going down. He wants his spotter to look very closely at that tire to see if he sees anything out of the ordinary. Other tire concerns for the 2, under caution. He thought he ran over a bottle. Shannon?
Well, Mike, definitely not good for Kyle Busch and Clint Bowyer, but that guy behind him, Scott Wimmer, now is able to capitalize. He's been running in the top 3, trying to get those guys all race long. He knows this may be his chance to get up there and get that win, his first win for Richard Childress Racing of this season, guys.
It's been 57 starts since Wimmer has won in the Nationwide Series. He has 5 career victories. His last one was July in 2003 at Pikes Peak. And right now he's currently running in 2nd place and giving Clint Bowyer all he wants.
Well, we can pretty well tell that. I don't think on the crash with Kyle Busch that he got any right front damage, Andy. It looks like he skimmed the right rear corner, so I think that's the big problem right now. Maybe the right rear on Clint's car, but not the right front.
You see Kyle Busch trying to stay ahead of these guys. This would keep him from going 2 laps down. He's 1 lap down right now, and he needs to try to fight these guys off so he doesn't go 2 laps down.
The interesting part right now is how's that car going to handle now with that left front fender all tore up like it is on Kyle Busch's car. But that car was so fast that the little bit he's going to lose from the downforce might stabilize him with the rest of the competitors. You never know.
But he's got to somehow get back into the position where he could get the lucky dog, because right now there's about 7 cars between him and that position. So this may be too much to ask for with 55 laps to go. I mean, Kyle has dazzled us with a spectacular set of moves throughout the season in all 3 series that he's run. I'm not sure Superman has this many tricks in his bag.
And we're watching this 2-car. This is the best run he's made. If you look at his lap times on the board, he's putting the best laps down that he's run all day long. And that's going to be tough for Kyle to hold him off.
Well, that last time by for Kyle Busch, it was a 30-45 compared to Clint Boyer's 30-30. So Clint's outrunning him. He just got to get around him right now. Yeah, they did a pretty good job getting the bottom of that fender pulled out. It's really not. When you pull it out farther, you actually get more downforce in the front end, which makes the car handle better.
Well, the key thing here is that they got the tire clear of the fender, so it's not going to rub and blow the tire out. That's the main thing. If they can just survive and maybe get another caution, they can work on that fender a little more and get the car better yet. But they got a couple of problems. They're a lap down, they got some damage, and they got the leader right on their tail.
And Kyle is probably pretty mad at himself because nobody helped him spin out. He did that one all by himself, and he's probably pretty frustrated over making that mistake.
Meanwhile, right behind him, Clint Boyer and Scott Wimmer. And Wimmer looks to be biding his time here right now.
Yeah, he's a smart race car driver. Both of these guys are veteran race car drivers. He's going to stalk this 2-car as his teammate. He's going to see where he's better than him, or maybe where Clint's better than Scott. Here we go. Here goes the 2-car.
And now this just about seals the deal, as he is now 2 laps down. Kyle Busch cannot hold off Clint Boyer any longer, and here comes Wimmer underneath as well.
Definitely wounded that 20 car.
And Kyle says
damage is hurting quite a bit.
I would have really thought the 29 car, Wimmer could have followed him through. He stayed on the bumper of Boyer, but now he's locked up behind a 20, and that's going to keep him. His chances of running that 2 down is going to be kind of tough right now, guys.
Well, he's trying again down on the inside. And as he tries to duck underneath, he may get it done this time. We've got to step aside. We've still got 51 laps to go here at Nashville. Who's going to win it? Stay back.
The NASCAR Nationwide Series from Nashville. Coverage presented by Tractor Supply Company. 46 laps to go here on ESPN. Clint Boyer leading Scott Wimmer, but they've got a car between them. The car now 2 laps down of Kyle Busch has gotten in between those two. Wimmer not able to get around and stay in contact with Boyer. And now Wimmer beginning to feel some pressure from 3rd place runner David Rudiman. So does everybody have enough fuel to go to the finish? And what about some of these guys like Brad Keselowski, the Nationwide Series only guys with their chance to shine today? Let's take you for a quick tour down through pit lane and catch up on some stories here with 45 to go, starting with Keselowski and Vince.
Well, Alan, Brad Keselowski is running in 5th place in the 88 Navy machine for Dale Earnhardt Jr. Good balance on the exit, but it's still tight on the entry to the center. They've been fighting that all day. And in regards to fuel, if it stays green, they're going to be 1 lap short. Mike Massaro?
It has been a challenging day, to say the least, for Kelly Byers and the 47 team. It began with radio problems. They had 2 terrible pit stops where they lost a total of 9 positions, and they were overheating at one point. Still, somehow, they're rallying for a top 10 finish here, running 6th right now. Shannon?
Well, Mike, Jason Leffler, what a difference a season makes for this driver. Last year, he had 4 DNFs to his credit at this time in the season. Right now, he's in the top 10 in the point standings, coming off 2 top 10 finishes in the past 2 weeks. Right now, he's saying the car is tight and loose off. Says he can live with the tight end, but they've got to fix that loose off. Vince?
Well, it's been a good day for the 33 car of Cale Gale driving for Kevin Harvick today. Crew chief Wally Rogers, they've been tinkering with the machine, but it feels good to Cale Gale as he came over the radio and said it's as good as it's been. And the good news, they're good to go on fuel by 2 laps. On the 64 machine, that's David Strimmy. Much better in. They've been fighting that problem throughout the day, but a little loose off at 4 in the center, he says is really, really bad.
I know Andy Petrie's calculator is smoking up in the booth. He's working it out so heavily, trying to figure out if these guys can make it to the finish or not. Really, if we don't see a caution flag, that's the issue right now. Do they have fuel to the finish?
Well, I think an interesting thing for me, too, is watching Kyle Busch, who's mired right there between Clint Boyer and Scott Wimmer. David Rudiman starting to stack up behind him. Busch is the fastest car on the racetrack. They may not be able to get around him.
Yeah, be interesting to see what happens. 41 laps to go. Kyle Busch and Clint Boyer have led all but 4 laps today. But right now, Busch is 2 laps down, and Boyer is in command at Nashville.
Welcome back to the Pepsi 300, and you can see the battle continues. Scott Wimmer trying to get around the lap vehicle of Kyle Busch, and he can't seem to get the job done. He's right alongside. And boy, I'll tell you what, Kyle will give him no quarter, even though the fact he's 2 laps down, guys.
And boy, Wimmer's just got to be getting madder and madder right now, because if I'm trying to win my first race against Clint Boyer and win right here at Nashville, I got a car that's 2 laps in front of me down. I think I'd be getting a crumb horn out right now, to tell you the truth.
Well,
hey, Pat, you want to ask your official down there how come the flagman's not putting the move over flag on him every time we come by?
Well, you can see that the team wants them to get Kyle out of the way to give him a shot at Clint Boyer. And here you can see just behind the 29 is the 99 of David Rudiman. So Rudiman in 3rd is sort of reeling his way back into this mix. And meanwhile, Clint Boyer, 7 prior trips here at Nashville. He's never finished outside the top 5, and of course has 1 win, trying to make it 2. Let's check in with his crew chief, Mike Massar.
And right now, Marty, the only thing that might be able to beat Clint Boyer in this team might be fuel mileage. Dan, you still have about 30-some-odd laps remaining. Do you have enough fuel to go the distance?
It's going to be pretty close. It's about 3 laps short right now. If we, depends on how we stretch our numbers, might be able to get closer, but hope for a caution here and let everyone get bunched up and have a race at the end.
It sounded like there might be some concern with tires, as Clint came over the radio not too long ago saying there was some concern with the right front. How concerned are you?
I think we damaged our right front fender a little bit. The BB&T Chevrolet's been good all day and got that little deal there with the 20 car. And just maybe dented the fender up a little bit. We'll get it pulled out. We'll be okay.
Marty, the 2 car looking for a 2nd win in a row, 2 weeks in a row here in Nashville.
All right, thanks, Mike. Let's quickly check in on what's going on with the 20 car, Vince.
The reason the 20 car is not letting the 29 by despite being 2 laps down is the 20 is believing, because he did come in and top off in fuel, that he's got enough fuel to the end. If Clint Boyer does not have enough fuel to the end and somehow the 20 can get by the 2 car and only be a lap down, if Boyer has to come in for that splash of fuel at the end, the 20 would be in a lot better position, so he doesn't want to give up that spot to the 29.
All right, well, we'll see if any of that strategy plays out. You heard them say they could be 3 laps short on fuel if we stay green. We've got 30 to go here at Nashville. What is going to happen as the drama continues to build? Stay with us.
Got a little drama brewing up at Nashville Superspeedway. Kyle Busch and Clint Boyer dueled for the lead much of the race. Lap 163 of 225. Busch spun out, handed the lead to Boyer. Kyle Busch has made way for Scott Wimmer to get on through. He's closing up on his Childress teammate. Oh, and by the way, all these guys may run out of finish before we get to the checkered flag.
Absolutely. And
may run out of fuel.
May run out of fuel, and David Rudiman's on the march, and Carl Edwards is only about 4.5 seconds back, so anything can happen. And Clint Boyer, my friend, I do believe is going to come up a little bit short on fuel. Not going to speculate. We're going to watch this thing to the end.
Oh, laps running out, 23 to go. Let's check on some of these fuel statuses down on pit road. Jamie?
Well, Alan David Rudiman finished this race second last year, and right now he's currently third. I just asked the team how they're looking. They said, we're about 8 laps short. Meanwhile, right behind him, Carl Edwards says, this is the best the car has been all day. I asked the team. They said they're about 1 lap short. They warned their driver, be ready for a splash and go shortly. Shannon?
Well, Jamie, Scott Wimmer, as soon as he went around Kyle Busch, his crew chief Pat Smith came on the radio and said, regroup, buddy, regroup. I asked Pat Smith if they can make it on fuel. He looked at me and he said, we're really close.
Well, for Scott Wimmer, he has only got 1 target left, separating him for his first win in that number 29 Chevrolet for Richard Childress Racing. And we talked to him about what are his goals for this season.
Really, for me, it would be winning races. You know, last year we won the Owners' Championship and Jeff won races, and I had a chance to win quite a few races, but never could close the deal at the end of the race. So really, I'd like to go out. I think I'm capable of winning 2 or 3 races. Definitely I'd like to go after another Owners' Championship.
And he's going after it on the low side. He's underneath Boyer. Can he hold it down there? Coming out of turn 4, and he slides up in front.
Attaway, buddy, attaway. Settle into a rhythm. Settle in.
I'd say settle into a rhythm and save fuel.
Oh, man, he's got a fast car right now. He's definitely one of the fastest cars in the field, and it's all about fuel, like you said. Now, I wonder if Boyer can start saving some fuel behind Wimmer, start throttling out, using that draft to help him.
Don't, you know, pump on the pedal or anything there.
Talking about saving fuel, and he's already opening up a gap. That's our 10th lead change here today between 5 different drivers. And now with 19 laps to go, this time by, can Scott Wimmer pick up his first win in that number 29?
I tell you, the thing that got me nervous, Andy, is Rudiman saying he's 8 laps short, and the rest of these guys think they're going to be within 1 or 2 laps. That's not good mileage at all, that's for sure.
Rusty, this young man just took the lead. He's driving his guts out, and your crew chief yells down to you, save fuel. Can you really save any fuel? He's got to be too nervous to be thinking about saving fuel at this point, wouldn't you think?
Well, he's pretty nervous right now, but, man, he's staring his first victory in his eyes, and he's just dying to do that. But, yeah, you can save fuel. And you just got to get out of the throttle a little early, get in the corner, or get in the throttle later. He's just got to be very, very easy with the gas pedal right now. But, yeah, Brad, you can get it done.
One thing I always did with my drivers, I would tell them to keep your foot off the brake. If you can keep your foot off the brake pedal, it's going to use less fuel. That means to do that, you've got to back off the throttle earlier, get in the corner. Let the car roll through there. Use the momentum.
Yeah, you don't want the resistance, any resistance at all on that engine where it's got to pull that car back out of the corner. If you can keep that momentum through the center, it's just a lot less gas you have to use to get the job done. Now, is that the fastest way around the racetrack? No, but that's the best way to save fuel.
Yeah, and you got to remember everybody else is in the same situation, so they all got to roll the throttle as well. Talking about Scott Wimmer, now he's been very consistent in the top 10 and 4th. In fact, the last 2 races here last year, he finished 7th and 4th here at Nashville. The only thing he hasn't been able to do, as we all know, is seal the deal with the win. And here he is in first place with 16 laps to go.
Well, Martin, there's one thing he definitely knows. He knows that. He knows this thing could go away on him quickly, and he's just hoping he's got enough fuel. But, man, when you're a driver like this, Andy, and you can see victory lane, you can smell it, man, you're just hearing everything. You don't want nothing to go wrong. You're getting all the information you can for your team, and above all, you're nervous.
And you don't have enough fuel. And all of that, it's just tough. I mean, winning these races is really, really tough. And I bet you
15, be smooth.
Pat Smith, the crew chief on that pit box, he's not going to breathe for about 15 laps, hoping this thing will run all the way to the finish without stopping.
Tell you, another guy can't breathe right now. It's probably his car owner, Richard Childress, whoever Richard's at.
He's in Mongolia. He's hunting.
Remember, it's been since July of 2003 since he's had his last victory in any Nationwide Series car. And, of course, he has yet to win in the 29, and that was back at Pikes Peak. So, I mean, for Scott, a lot on the line here, a big, long drought.
You know, Andy, Richard Childress, he might be in Mongolia hunting, but I bet he's got a satellite dish bolted to his back right now. He's getting it somehow. He's a pretty tech-savvy guy.
Rudiman, he's so many laps short of fuel, he's going to plan on making a pit stop, so he's just running as hard as he can right here. He's caught Clint Boyer in his 2 car. You have to think Clint might be trying to save fuel, but we heard his crew chief say he was 3 laps short. That's 4 miles. That's quite a bit.
You'd have to think that the 29 car of Wimmer and the 2 car of Boyer are getting the same mileage. They got the same engine builder, the same engine. maybe not tuned up the same.
Well, the driving styles really have a lot to do with fuel mileage, too. I've noticed that with the different drivers I've worked with. A driver can make more difference in the fuel mileage than even the tune-up.
There is Clint Boyer with David Ruderman. Now they're starting to run into some more lap traffic. And on the left side of your screen, that's David Wimmer. He clears the lap traffic and continues on. It'll be 12 laps this time by.
And you know, when you're leading the race now with 13 laps to go, has 12 right now as he passes by. That's the eternity. It just seems like it's taken forever. I know one thing not to do, though. I used to practice my victory lane speeches with like 10 to go when I got a big lead, and that sucker'd blow up on me. So I quit doing that.
How did that work out for you?
That didn't work out at all, man. I'm like, don't do that, you know. It's not over till the fat lady sings, they say.
You know how nervous you are in the car.
Yeah.
Well, you think about a crew chief on top of that box. He doesn't have anything else to do but sit there, and he gets, I'm telling you, these are the longest laps in the world.
Oh, you got that right.
All right, Scott Wimmer with 11 laps to go has a half a second lead over Clint Boyer, and David Ruderman is in third. Let's get an update on the 99. Jamie.
Well, Jerry Baxter, crew chief for David Ruderman, just came on the radio and told David 4 laps, and we must pit, guys.
Wow. That's got to be a heartbreaker. Remember, David last year was running so strong, had the gas can problem, the catch can that stayed on the car, had a penalty. He still comes back to finish second. Here he is running third, and he's 7 laps short.
Well, he's not going to be the only one. If he's 7 laps short, that means somebody else, you know, a lot of these other guys are not going to be able to make it too. It's still very, very iffy with this 29 and 2 car with Scott Wimmer and Clint Boyer up front of them being able to make it. Very iffy.
How much drafting would you be able to do to how much fuel could you, but how much fuel could you save?
I don't think you're going to be able to save much at this style of racetrack. This track is too short. You just don't feel the draft that much at all at a track like this. You're trying to do it. You're trying to roll out the throttle early, like Andy was talking earlier, but it's tough.
9 laps to go now, separating Scott Wimmer from his first win in the last 58 starts. And everybody is holding their breath for fuel.
Safe fuel, man. I hate hearing that.
I bet you that's not the only time he's heard it this run. I bet he's been saying it the whole time.
And if he's really listened to his crew chief and every single lap he's tried to save, he might make it.
Now 8 laps to go. And Boyer seems to be closing in on him.
My last race as crew chief for Dale Earnhardt Sr. was at Atlanta, and we were very, very close on fuel and leading the race, gone. And I kept trying to get him to save fuel, save fuel. I mean, it was like every lap I was telling him.
I started to say, how are you going to get a guy like that to save fuel? He's got a big right foot. He wanted to lead every lap.
It was hard, buddy.
Oh, man, to get Dale Sr. to stay patient. Unbelievable.
Mike, what's going on in Clint Boyer's camp?
Well, Marty, you heard Dan Daringhoff say they were about 3 laps short. Well, Clint just came over the radio and asked him the same question we asked him. And Dan's response was, well, how much have you helped me out? And Clint said, I have helped you out quite a bit. His assessment was, we'll probably run out on the last lap. Jamie?
Well, Mike, David Ruderman, they knew it was going to be quick, and they came in for a splash and go. He's down and away with 7 laps to go.
He spins the good years and gets back out. Doesn't want to exceed the pit speed limit of 45 miles an hour, and that's got to feel like an eternity.
Yeah, and when you can make that green flag stop and you're not changing tires, you got to be real careful not to slide and put flat spots on those tires.
And there goes Scott Wimmer right on by, putting him a lap down. So now he's going to have to hope and pray that everybody else has to stop or run out. Tough break, but 6 laps to go, and Scott Wimmer holding his breath as he leads Clint Boyer by 0.7 of a second. And the question is, who has fuel? Here comes Jason Leffler. He pulls in. He was running in 8th.
5 to go. Put an egg under it. You'll be fine. Keep digging.
Yeah, Jason Leffler going to bring that car, and they're just going to gas and go, guys, to make it to the end.
And you heard the spotter saying 5 to go, put an egg under it. Explain what he's talking about.
He's talking about use that throttle like you've got an egg between your foot and the throttle pedal. Just barely push it. Just try to use as little throttle as you can.
Yeah, I think the whole world's pulling for Scott Wimmer to win his first race right now. Everybody pulls for the underdog, and I'd hate to see him run out of fuel right now. He's ran so good throughout the day, and but yeah, an egg under the gas pedal. That's the way you got to treat it right now.
Scott has won some races in this series, but he hasn't won in a long time, and not for Richard Childress. He really wants to win for Richard.
So he needs to put an Easter egg under that right foot, right?
Yeah, we know where we can find some.
Yeah, absolutely.
The plot thickens here. Four laps to go.
Absolutely. He has 5 career wins. As we mentioned, his last one was back in 2003 in July. That was 58 starts ago. It's an eternity when you want to be a race car driver and your job is based on performance. And this racing team of Richard Childress Racing has stuck with him. A lot of people, took some shots because Jeff Burton was winning in his car last year and he wasn't. They stuck with him, and here he is with about 2.5 laps to go.
There's still some meat on the bone, man.
Yeah.
These guys are worried.
And if he can win this race, guys, this is the first time he's been in this car all year long, and that's a heck of a way to come back, isn't it?
2 to go, be smooth.
You heard the spotter. Be smooth. Be smooth. And there is second place Clint Boyer just lurking. He likewise has fuel issues. Who's got enough in the tank?
Don't want to caution until they get to the white flag, because that'll put them into overtime.
Oh, that would put everybody in the pit lane. This time by, there will be 1 lap remaining.
White flag this time, buddy. White flag.
All right, here we go. 1.3 miles. His 8th trip here to Nashville Superspeedway. Scott Wimmer, 4 corners to go.
Oh, he's watching that doggone fuel pressure right now. He's got his eyes buried to it, hoping it makes it. I want to correct myself. This was the 3rd time he's been in this car this year. Looks like the more he's in it, the better he's getting.
Record for fewest cautions. We've only had 3 today. The old record was 5. It's going to be a new race record for speed, and for Scott Wimmer, it's going to be a record day. His first win for Richard Childress Racing. Here he comes to the stripe. New winner at Nashville, Scott Wimmer.
Country cowboy, man. I love it. I love it, man. I love all you guys. That's great. Let's go, boys. All right.
Looks like that crew's real happy for Scott Wimmer.
Did you hear the relief in that voice?
Well, I heard it. Everybody's happy for Wimmer. I mean, what a great job. He was solid all day.
And look, getting the hoist into the air. The victory for Richard Childress Racing in the 29 car as he makes his way towards victory lane for Clint Boyer. Another top 5 run, 8 in a row in 8 trips. This guy is so strong here and just finished 1 spot short. And there's your winner. We'll talk to Scott Wimmer when we come back here at Nashville.
Bang, 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 bang.
Back at Nashville Superspeedway, first time in a long time. Scott Wimmer is in victory lane in the NASCAR Nationwide Series. Shannon Spake is there to greet him.
All right, well, we said this was a race that they could capitalize on an opportunity, and Scott Wimmer did just that. Celebrating with his 29 team in victory lane. Scott Wimmer gets the guitar. 5 years in the making. You said this is something that you wanted to do to win with his team. Describe the emotion right now. His teammate Clint Boyer. Describe the emotion right now, Scott.
Well, it's been unbelievable. I can't believe it's been that long, but I've been coming down to Nashville for the All-American 400 since, I think, 1994. Never had a chance to win a guitar, and it's all these guys. They did a great job. They've really built great race cars each and every week, and just excited to be there. Excited for Holiday Inn and all their support. And we lost a real close racing member, Sonny Emmerfeld, back home in Wisconsin. We lost him this week, and Dick Trickle's going through some hard trouble. So we want to dedicate this to them, and hope everybody has a great Easter.
Scott, a key moment in the race for you was when the 20 team got loose, had some problems. What went through your mind when that happened?
Well, Kyle's a great race car driver, and he was holding me up there, and I was getting pretty aggravated at him, but fortunately let us go, and we were able to catch Clint, and everything worked out in our favor. But he looked like class of field all day, and it looked like he just got loose and got into the wall, and was mine and Boyer's race from there on, and fortunately we had enough to beat him.
Well, now everyone talks about this trophy, the guitar. Where are you going to put that guitar, Scott?
I don't know. My dad's been after it for a long time, so I'll let him take it back to Wisconsin and let him put it back at his house, something like that.
All right, well, we'll let Scott get to his victory celebration. Scott Wimmer goes to victory lane for the first time since 2003. Mike.
And Shannon, his teammate Clint Boyer just made a visit to victory lane, but certainly not in the capacity you wanted to be there. You had to be conservative down the run with concerns about fuel. If you didn't have those concerns, would you be in there right now?
No. He had the best car that last run. I don't know what happened to Kyle. He got sideways in front of me, and I got into him. And ever since that, just got real tight. But it's a good day for us.
It takes a lot for a guy like you, a guy who has such a busy schedule on the Sprint Cup side of things, to take a weekend off here. Saw your crew chief Gil Martin here as well. Do you feel like this helped build for you, not just in the Nationwide Series, but maybe something you can carry over to Sprint Cup competition?
Well, it's just it's a special track for me. I love coming here, and Gil, my Cup crew chief, is from Nashville, so that's the reason he was here. He's just over hanging out with some friends. But all in all, it was a good day for the BB&T Chevrolet. Really happy for Dan and all the guys, and for Wimmer. It's been a long time coming, and congratulations.
And Clint Boyer, still the streak is intact. He's never finished outside the top 5 here in Nashville. Alan?
Well, Mike, Kyle Busch is from Las Vegas, and certainly folks from Vegas understand when you're on a roll. They also understand when the chips just don't fall on your side of the table. And that sure has been the case with Kyle Busch the last now 4 weeks of NASCAR Nationwide Series racing. A contender to win at Vegas. The tire problem into the wall dominated the race at Atlanta. The suspension problem cut out the tire. Then in the opening laps last week at Bristol, Martin Truex got turned around, clipped Kyle. His day was over before it even got started a week ago. And then today, out in front, dominating, one of 2 dominant cars in the event, 63 laps to go. Lost it up in turn 4 through the grass, did not contend to win. Vince Welch caught up with him a few minutes ago.
Just a stupid mistake on the driver's part. That's about it.
How do you put in perspective what's happened the last 4 weeks?
That's about it.
Yep. Thanks, Kyle.
Don't know anybody that has had more disappointment in the last 4 weeks of racing, Brad, than Kyle Busch.
Yeah, he has really struggled, but he is a tremendously talented young man.
Let's hear from the 4th place finisher, Brad Keselowski. Jamie's with him.
Well, we talked about it being an opportunity race here today, and Brad Keselowski is 2nd, 4th place finish, the best in this series. Brad, talk about your day and the competition you had around you.
It was a great day for London U.S. Navy Chevrolet to keep knocking out them strong finishes there and moving up in the points, and hopefully we can get this car up there contending for the championship if we keep running like this. And just really proud of everyone on my Junior Motorsports team, and another great car, and I'm pretty proud of everyone on this team. And our day is coming, and I'm just happy to be here and happy to be in this series.
I know everybody wants to ask you, okay, so when are you going to get your first win? But when you're up there charging with these guys, Cup drivers around you, can you taste that victory? Is it close?
Oh, yeah, it's close. I felt like we had a car last week that could win the race, and we had a top 5 car this week. So, if you keep running the top 5, eventually your race will, come. So, just really happy to be running where I'm at and be with the team I'm with.
It's all about consistency, and consistency wins championships. Shannon?
Well, the smile on Pat Smith's face says it all. Now, you've been to Victory Lane before, but this is your first time with Scott Wimmer. How special is this for you?
It's pretty intense last couple laps there. A lot of stuff going through my head. We were so close so many times last year, and just happy for him and this whole team. A lot of new people on it this year, so fun, very fun.
Now, you said there was a lot going through your head on those last couple laps. Fuel mileage, possibly something that was going through your mind? How close were you?
Absolutely. Everyone on the team was bugging me, wondering if we had enough, didn't have enough. I didn't know. About every other lap, I was reminding him, save me some fuel, save me some fuel. I think Clint did a good job, maybe held off the 99, which they came down and got fuel. So it all ended up very well.
All right, certainly a celebration in Victory Lane. Guys, there have been like 5 or 6 drivers who have come by to congratulate this team.
Shannon, Pat Smith and the Childers 29 team won 5 times with Jeff Burton a year ago. They're in Victory Lane in 2008 with Scott Wimmer as he has taken the checkers in Nashville today. Lots more post-race coverage still to come. Talk with some of the other top finishers in just a minute. Look at the final finishing order and the championship standings as well. The NASCAR Nationwide Series at Nashville is presented by Tractor Supply Company. The stuff you need out here. And in part by the U.S. Navy. Navy, accelerate your life. Scott Wimmer, the winner today here in Nashville. Let's hear from David Ruderman, who has got to be a little heartbroken after coming up a lap down in 9th.
Yeah, very frustrated running 3rd and had to come for fuel, David. And a lot of teams were talking about being a lap or 2 short. You were talking about being 8 laps short. Any reasoning behind that?
No, I don't really know why we couldn't go any farther. I mean, it's just, that's the kind of fuel mileage we were getting. And there's, if you're a lap or 2 shy, you can gamble, but you can't when you're 8 laps. So we'll go back and try and figure out why that is. A lot of the other guys are making it. So You know, everybody on the Airstream machine did a great job, Jerry Baxter, and I'm really proud of all my guys. And the guys at Toyota Racing Development, I know they'll go back and they'll look at it and they'll get me some fuel mileage. I have all the confidence in the world of that. It's just today we just didn't have it when it counted, and really, really, really disappointed. But yeah, I'm proud of my guys.
As a driver that's running for the championships, what does 6 spots cost you?
Oh, it's huge. I mean, you just give them away. I mean, that's you know, you're running third, and you know, we might could have got Clint. We might, you know, we were right there. It would have been hard to get him, but at least we had the opportunity to. And then when you have to come down at that point, you know, you just give it all away. But I mean, we didn't have a choice. I mean, we couldn't. Like I said, we couldn't stretch at 8 laps. So again, Toyota Racing Development does a phenomenal job. Motors make great horsepower, and they'll give me some fuel mileage. I know they will. I love those guys. So I'm just disappointed. That's all. I'm not aggravated at anybody.
Yeah, the frustration's evident. David Rudiman finishes 9th today. Let's go to Jamie Little, who's with Carl Edwards.
Well, Carl Edwards, 3rd place finish today. The best of the season, though. Carl, tell us about the end. How close were you guys on fuel?
Well, I thought with the old Miracle Grow Fusion was getting some pretty good fuel mileage. I thought we were going to get them, but my hat's off to Scott. He's a great guy. Make a good Easter for him here. Hate to give up that guitar. You know, it's really nice having that run here, but everybody's done a good job. I mean, our pit crew was awesome, and we'll just go home and spend some time with the family. But congratulations to Scott. Those guys did a good job.
You talked about this tapered spacer yesterday. You were going to school to learn how to drive these cars differently. How do you feel at the end of the day?
I felt pretty good there at the end. I don't know what happened in the 20 car. He was class of the field, obviously. But there towards the end, we were running really fast lap times. So I feel a lot better than I did, you know, the other day when you saw me staring up at that practice sheet with the dazed look in my eyes. I'm doing much better now. I think we've got something to work with.
And Bobby Hamilton Jr. rounds out the top 10 with his first top 10 finish of the season. How would you assess the afternoon?
Oh, tickled to death. We were running 20th, 1 lap down, and I mean, we just lost a handle on it. But Chris Wright and everybody just jumped in there, got the car awesome, and then those last handful of laps, we were passing cars left and right. And I just want to tell Smithfield Foods that this is their first top 10. Eckridge, just everybody that's putting money behind this team, keeping us going. Honda Generator, just everybody. Just unbelievable. Normally I'm pretty down on myself, but I drove my tail off today. My guys just made awesome changes. Pit stops were good. Ford Fusion was fast. Yates Roush horsepower was good, and man, I'm just tickled to death to be at home because I was totally disappointed in the middle of the race and they're thinking, why in the world are we running 20th? We're a better car, and all of a sudden we just got our racing caps on and start making adjustments, and I just had to get up on the wheel and drive it sideways, and here we go, take a top 10, and I'll take it with the Eckridge Ford Fusion.
And you mentioned running at home for a guy who grew up just 40 miles from here and still lives there. How much emphasis did you place on this particular race?
Yeah, a lot. As a matter of fact, it was almost too much. It was a whole lot of pressure on me because we knew we had to perform here. We've always had good top 5s and top 10s, and just and I was trying to get Smithfield their first top 10 and stuff in the sport, stuff like that. Just so much pressure you put on yourself, and all of a sudden you got to remember it's just another racetrack. We did the same deal everywhere we go for 36 events. We make pit stops, make adjustments, and we finally got the Ford Fusion good. And just like I said, Smithfield, Eckridge, Curley's, John Morrell, everybody, just thank you.
Well, Marty, it certainly looked like Bobby Hamilton Jr. dealt with that pressure pretty well.
He certainly did, and there were several others that did. What struck me was we already talked to Brad Keselowski, back-to-back fourth-place finishes, but how about Kelly Byers as he ends up finishing with a career-best 5th, and Cale Gale comes home in the number 33 car with a career-best 8th. We talked about it being the Opportunity 300.
It is a great opportunity for these guys to get great finishes. They're some of them career-best finishes. You still got to beat those guys like Clint Boyer and those Childress cars with Scott Wimmer and you know, Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch was so fast today, but he just can't bring it home. He can't seem to seal the deal, and you know, the frustration is mounting with Kyle Busch.
But you know, you talk about opportunities. I mean, Scott Wimmer had so much self-induced pressure to probably win his first race with RCR driving that number 29 car, because guys, he's always compared to Jeff Burton. Burton's doing it, can you do it? Well, he answered that question today, that's for sure.
And the question will be now is what happens with that 29 car in the future? How many more times can they go to victory lane? Remember, they won the Manufacturers Championship last year. And let's check in with Shannon Spake.
Well, Cale Gale representing for KHI this weekend in the 33 car. First ever top 10, first start here at Nashville. A lot of firsts for you this weekend. How do you feel right now?
Yeah, I just want to thank Kevin and Elena for giving me the opportunity to come out here and race for them some. Running 14 races this year, and this was the first time I got to drive the 33 car this year, and I had a little bit of pressure this week coming in with Kevin putting P1 in the owner's points, which is a big deal to all of us at KHI. And just a great race car. Wally gave me a good car to drive all day. Just want to thank all the guys. We had good pit stops on pit road and made a few mistakes out there driving-wise, but learn from it and go on to the next one.
Now, you will be in this car later in the season, working, of course, with Wally Rogers, your crew chief. How did it go with him today? How was the communication?
Oh, it's always been good with me and Wally. I mean, I've been around the shop for a year and a half. He crew chiefed me last year in Bristol in the truck race, and we just seem to click off pretty good. And I just kind of tell him what to do to it, and he tunes her up for me. He does a good job at it. And all the guys out back at the shop, I mean, the Fab shop, the Hall brothers for hanging the bodies. I mean, everybody, all the way down to the guy that paints the car, has been working real hard all winter, and it's paying off for us.
Well, you can probably guess his team owners, Kevin Harvick and Delana Harvick, at home watching the race, very happy about the top 10 finish.
And
Marty?
they certainly should be. Thanks, Shannon. As we go to break, you see the celebration with the guitar. It belongs to Scott Wimmer. And remember, they told Scott, drive it like there's an egg underneath the gas pedal? We found the eggs. We'll close it out when we come back.
Quick look back on the day here in Nashville. Carl Edwards going for 4 straight wins at this racetrack. Clint Bowyer figuring to be among his toughest rivals, along with the man who started on the pole for the race, Kyle Busch, in that black and red Joe Gibbs Racing Toyota. Kyle jumped out early and led often in the first part of this race. In fact, Kyle led almost all of the first 80 laps of the thing, till Clint Bowyer went by him here.
Clint sucked up on him. I think Kyle was actually just taking care of his tires at that point, though, Alan, because he was 3/10 quicker than the field the entire time he was out front. Clint had a good run on him, though.
Kyle back out in front until, with 60 laps to go, just gets loose off turn 4.
Came off turn 4, right rear end, stepped out on him. He did a great job saving that race car, got back in the throttle, through the grass, but that put him a lap down because he had to come in the pits.
And then with Bowyer out in front, his teammate from Richard Childress Racing, Scott Wimmer, came call.
Well, we knew this was going to happen sooner or later. Scott Wimmer's a super race car driver, had a lot of close calls. He got that thing around Clinton. When he did, he checked out on him a little bit, had enough fuel to get far enough ahead to save some fuel getting in and out of that throttle.
That was with 21 laps to go, and the fuel did hold up to the finish for Scott Wimmer. And for the Wisconsin native, his 6th career victory in the NASCAR Nationwide Series and the treasured Gibson Guitar Trophy to take back home. So, a Richard Childress Racing sweep of the top 2 spots, continuing the roll they were on, got started on last week at Bristol by winning the nationwide race on Saturday and sweeping the top 3 spots in the Cup race on Sunday. Another driver who is on a roll today, another Wisconsin native, Kelly Byers with Jamie Little.
Well, first top 5 finish ever for Kelly Byers today. What a run. And you had to earn it because you guys had a couple hiccups and you still kept it together. How'd you do it, Kelly?
Yeah, this 47 Clorox Ford Fusion was a really fast race car today. It's been fast off the truck all weekend long, and just real proud of all the guys back at JTG Racing for building such great race cars and allowing us to bring them to the track and really be, top 5 right off the truck. We had a couple issues on pit road that really hurt us. We had a car fast enough, I think, to contend for a win today. But, the guys worked real hard, and I'm sure they're going to go back and work real hard, pit stops and stuff, and get a little bit better.
Enjoy that weekend off and that top 5 finish. We'll see you in Texas.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
And not a bad season debut for Chase Miller either, bringing it home 14th. How do you look at the way this day went?
Man, the day went great. We had a really good car today. The Valvoline Dodge Charger was always fast. There at the end, we were running with some of the top 10 guys and just caught 1 lap down. So, the car was really good, drove really well. I got to, say Kirk Onquist did an awesome job with the car. The whole crew, they did a real good job out there and kept us running really good. And just had a really good day. The car doesn't have a scratch on it. And just happy to be out here racing. I think it's a good first race of the year.
And what about Jason Keller? How did he help you this weekend? I understand you went to him for some advice.
He did. Jason helped me out a lot this weekend. He has helped me. He and I went around the track and in the pace car and discussed about throttle points and turning points and, just with this new engine package, how it's going to be different from last year. And really, at the race, or in the race, I got to follow him for a couple laps, and I was seeing some stuff he was doing, and I'd try it during the race, see if it helped, and some of it did help, so we picked up a little bit more speed and, kept passing some cars.
And 14th, a career best for Chase Miller. Jamie?
And Mike, the guy who he was talking about, is with me now, and Jason Keller. Jason, you helping out the kids out there.
Well, it's easy to help out someone like Chase. He really listens. But, man, I was really thinking we would be a little bit better today with the Incredible Pizza Chevrolet. But, we hung in there. We didn't give up, and that's what this race team's all about. But a little bit dejected right now, but really excited about what we have in store for incredible pizza company and excited about what they have to offer and looking forward to that. But I'd like to tell everybody, Happy Easter. It's a great weekend, and on my way home right now, so looking forward to seeing Deb and the kids.
You finished 18th today. You said you can't really put your finger on any one particular thing. So let's spin it forward. Texas is our next race. How do you guys feel about your chances there? I know you have a 1.5 mile, pretty good package going on.
Well, we definitely have improved on it. Las Vegas really showed that. We qualified well at Las Vegas, and we ran well at Las Vegas. So I'm going to be excited to go to every race that I go to with this CJM team. It's a great race team, great people. We were off today, but that doesn't mean we're going to try any less when we go to Texas. So we're going to go to Richmond and test real hard this week and look forward to that and learn as much as we can. And definitely these guys won't hold up on you. They're going to be tough, and we know all the other teams are going to be tough. And I'm going to twist Todd's arm, and we're going to figure this out.
All right, enjoy your weekend off. We'll see you in Texas. Let's go to Vince.
Good day for Richard Childress Racing, first and second, and this gentleman, Stephen Light, 12th today, but you ran comfortably in the top 10 all afternoon. What happened that dropped you back a few spots?
Well, the first run of the race, the car felt great. We were running fourth there behind Clint. And then the next restart, the car just changed. It didn't feel the same after that. We weren't sure what was wrong. Just never got the handle on it again. And with about 100 to go, the half-inch shim came on the right front. And from then on, I just was didn't know what was wrong. I thought it was a flat tire. We came down pit road, changed the right side tires, went back out. And before the restart, when I was scuffing the tires, the car felt weird and went back green. And I knew something was wrong. And just from that point on, we were just kind of riding, hoping a caution would come out so we could fix it, and never had the opportunity. But it just sucks because, in practice and in qualifying, we were just a little bit better than Clint, and I was really looking forward to today. And we were really the first half of the race, we were just riding in 6th, 7th, 5th place, just sitting there riding, waiting for the end. And last 100 laps and 100 to go, we broke something, and from then on, just riding around.
Stephen Light, 12th today. Let's go to Alan Bestwick.
All right, Vince, thanks. We have shown you the finishing order of the race a couple times across the top of the screen. Now let's show you the championship standings after Nashville.
Well, I tell you, look at these standings. And look at Kelly Byers moving into that 8th position. Outstanding run for that young man. Brad Keselowski continues with his consistency. And Mike Bliss, even though he had a pretty tough day today, he maintains that 5th spot. Great run for those guys.
Just 11 points between the top two, 71 back to 3rd. The NASCAR Nationwide Series is off next weekend. Next race in 2 weeks. Texas Motor Speedway is the place. The super fast 1.5 miles in Fort Worth. 2:30 Eastern Time, ESPN2. That's Saturday, April 5th. And we hope that you will be with us for that. Kevin Harvick's been the man at that racetrack. He's won 3 of the last 5 at Texas. Up next, the Lanes and Stakes. Stay with us here on ESPN. That coming up from Florence, Kentucky. So the Opportunity Day, the first standalone race of the NASCAR Nationwide Series season, happened today in Nashville, Tennessee. A lot of drivers took their shot, but it was a couple of veterans up front. Kyle Busch and Clint Bowyer, who duked it out. Busch had misfortune late in the day. Clint Bowyer couldn't hang on. And the underdog, Scott Wimmer, ran past him, and Richard Childress Racing took the victory. First win for Wimmer in a long time. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. See you in Texas.